We are live.
Welcome to the True Sky Crew podcast, where we share our cosmic pearls of wisdom. Why True Sky Astrology? Because when we align with the true sky, we align with our true self. We are your hosts, Sachi, Georgia, and Janine. Thank you all for joining us live and everyone joining on the replay. Today we are going to be answering listener questions and discuss October transits, which includes the eclipse season upcoming, and we will also discuss the Equinox and Equilux.
Nice.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for joining us.
How's everybody feeling?
It's been pretty intense. Can't lie about it. It has been insane lately. It feels like we kind of just got over a hump and we're preparing for another one, kind of like on a roller coaster. It just dropped and now we're sort of making our way back up.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, it's intense right now for me. I'm ready to go to bed.
Well, we'll try to get through all of our transits and such in a timely manner. As all you listeners know, us three airy gals, we're not known for being brief, but we will try our best.
Yes, the transits tend to be longer episodes. There's just so much to cover, and this month is really no exception because we've got eclipses to talk about.
That's right.
So exciting.
So let's get started with a listener question. So this one actually came from Instagram. So thank you everyone who follows us on Instagram. We do appreciate all of the likes and stuff on our posts, and we read and value your questions there as well. So on one of our most recent posts about the sun moving from the constellation Leo to the constellation Virgo, which just happened, right? We just started real true Virgo season. We had mentioned about DN upgrades, and then we had a question about what DN upgrades mean. Anyone want to take a swing at this one?
I think that we could all kind of pitch in on this.
Yeah.
But we know that our DNA has been degraded, and that many people are operating at 2 strands, and maybe even up to 6 strands, but definitely not up to the full 12 strands of DNA that most humans once had. So when we talk about DNA upgrades, we're talking about the rehabilitation of our DNA and rebraiding in strands that have been dormant.
True. So for triple helix DNA is actually widely accepted in the genetics community. So when I went to school, I was really surprised that they were even teaching about that when it came to supercoiling. Although when I was asking my professors about it, none of them knew anything. They didn't want to talk about it because they said, oh, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the ultimate goal is to get to that 12-strand DNA, but on a more base level, I guess, practical for people who are even just functioning on double-strand DNA. So a lot of DNA upgrades have to do with epigenetic control, so control above the genes. So a lot of genetic expression isn't determined by what genes you have. It's determined by the environmental factors that either cause a gene to be coding or non-coding. And so through your lifetime, and we talked a little bit about this in Taurus, where I focused on Taurus as a fixed earth entity, that DNA is a fixed earth entity, your blueprint, even though it can change, but the blueprint itself is sort of a fixed entity. So for example, a DNA upgrade, let's say you have like liver issues. If you are now in a different environment where you're not, let's say like you're not in a toxic environment, whether you're removing yourself from somewhere that has mold, or maybe you've changed your behavior in terms of, stop drinking or whatever. So your liver has to do less you know, it's not filtering as many toxins. So when that happens, your liver can have a DNA upgrade because it is able to replenish its cells in a more healthier way rather than working on detoxifying. That's just like a kind of like a silly example, I guess, but it's a very, I guess one that everyone could, even like if you're not spiritual or anything, you can apply it to your life. So on a base level, your cellular self is changing based on your energetic shifts. Because when your energy shifts, your energy body shifts, your DNA body is going to match that. And as Janine was saying, like we have the potential to have coding DNA up to 12 strands. And that's sort of the, I guess, the higher self human that we kind of want to strive for.
Yeah, and a lot of that DNA can also be accessed etherically. Like if you've ever read any of those studies by what's that guy's name? Emoto, the Japanese guy who did all the studies on water. Like you can recode the DNA. The template's always there because your water remembers. So even if you don't have more than 2 to 3, like partially 3 activated, the etheric strands can still activate. The thing with the DNA upgrades being associated with Virgo season is like there's a huge capacity by doing practical application things during the season for all that stuff to ground in and turn on. It doesn't mean it's like when I say, you know, get ready to feel the DNA upgrades, it usually means the crap is going to surface that's stopping it from recalibrating. And you get to do all the breath work and Kundalini yoga and all the stretching and all the eating the right foods to get more light in your body. So like that liver can reactivate and, you know, access that original template in the DNA. So it usually means there is some purging involved, some cleansing involved, and then you'll start to feel better. So breath work is so major too for helping this process, like get more of that chi in your body and just spend some time every day doing a little bit of something that will help move energy and you'll start feeling it.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's important to be doing things to, you know, foster DNA upgrades and to allow them, because a lot of the things in our world at this time will naturally try to degrade your DNA. You know, whether it's kind of going back to the Taurus episode of, you know, what you're eating, the quality of the materials that you're wearing, your health and beauty products. These are all things that can cause, you know, increased mutation rates, telomere attrition, and things like that. So anything that you can do to circumvent that and also cause upgrades is very, very important, especially Virgo season, which is all about sort of the angelic blueprint.
Yeah, reaccessing that blueprint is so major through the season because it's Mercury and Virgo's Mercury energy, but it's Earth. It's grounded Mercury energy. So it's like bring that stuff, activate that DNA so all that light can just come on through.
Exactly. And when you go through different DNA upgrades, that's like, it's the biological, biochemical mechanism where you can anchor other different gifts as well. So you can have DNA upgrades that cause third eye activations, or even like causal chakra activations, things of part of your etheric body that isn't even here in the physical. So definitely a loaded question.
It's
and there's a lot
it was
to
a
it,
great
but,
question. Yeah, that was a
it
great
really was.
question. So we really appreciate those questions. So thank you. We are keeping the people who submit the questions anonymous for reasons we discussed in the last episode. So thank you to that person. You know who you are. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And
What do we want to move on to?
Shall we just jump into October's transits?
Do we want to talk a little bit about the equinox coming up in a couple days and then maybe slide over into
let's do
October
that.
stuff?
Yeah.
Then we can
Because
talk
we
about
forgot to mention it in the last transit episode.
That's true. Yeah, we did.
So let's talk a little bit about the equinox. It's on September 23rd this year. And of course, the sun will be in Virgo.
Yes, it will. Here, let me pull.
You had a really good post this week about the difference between the equinox and the equilux that I think people would probably really be interested in.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
concept. I didn't realize till a couple years ago that there was a difference, but you know, it's because I was, of course, just looking through charts going, when is the daylight and darkness even where I'm at? And then I was like, well, why isn't that the equinox? I'm like, oh, because I don't live at the equator. So, it was one of those, I should have had a V8 moment. I'm like, duh. So it will make a difference. And I feel like, you know, as it transits, the equilux happens at different days depending on latitude. So you might have more personal type breakthroughs when it's at your latitude for that day. And then I feel like the equinox is more like a planetary jump because it's aligned with the equator. It's like what is it? The equator and the ecliptic meet or something like that. I didn't specifically look up the terminology for that, but
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask if for our listeners you could sort of define the equinox versus the equilux.
yeah, the equilux is equal day and night where you're at. And the equinox is
When that occurs on the
when it
equator.
occurs
On
at the
the-
equator.
On the
Yeah.
planet's equator, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the equator and the ecliptic plane intersect. That's where I'm like, that may be true. I would have to look that up, but it's definitely, since it's the sun, I'm assuming it's the ecliptic plane and the equator.
That would make sense, yeah.
But if that's wrong, we'll make a correction somewhere.
Yeah, and I
So,
know
yeah.
in your post you mentioned how a lot of timeline shifts can happen on a personal level wherever you're going through your personal equilux based on where you live on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a website, timeanddate.org, where you can find that for your location. Super easy. You just type in your zip code or your city or whatever, and it'll take you right there. And then you just look in the chart where the times are like almost either the same or like 1 minute apart. Like sunrise is this time, and then the sunset is like, you know, there's even amount of hours between. You'll see it when you get in the chart. You'll understand what I mean.
I usually look for that on my weather app.
Yeah, that's another
check
great
it.
place
yeah.
to find it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Weather.com or whatever is on
exactly.
your phone. Mm-hmm.
It's
Good
easy
place to find
peasy.
it. So the difference really is in the measurement of it is the equinox is measured from the center point of the sun and the equator. And the equilux is like the moment of sunrise and the very first peak of the sun above the horizon. So it uses the sun as a disk instead of the center point. So the times are a little bit different, and that's why it makes a difference at different latitudes. And then at the sunset, it's like when the last little peak of the sun disk dips below the horizon. So it's using it as a circle instead of a point. So just some of the mathematical stuff. That's just the technical stuff. The most interesting thing is to just go look up when the equilux is for you and kind of notice what happens on that day.
Yep.
And then the equinox
I'm gonna
is,
have to do that.
yeah, I feel like it's more of a collective.
Timeanddate.com.
Yeah, it feels like
Timeanddate.org.
Timeanddate.org.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
I'll
to
make
do
a
that.
note of
equinox
that.
feels like a planetary party. We're all
Yeah.
a bit
Yeah.
relieved that summer's over, and there's a real joy with the equinox. But then I do feel an actual shifting into a deeper part of myself when the equilux occurs.
Mhm.
Because now it's
Interesting.
time to cultivate all of that solar energy
Yes,
that we
harvest.
accumulated, yes, throughout the summer. Now it's time to put it to good use. And so I find that my energy starts to turn inward and get extremely creative.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that the northern hemisphere is going to be having the autumnal equinox, whereas the
Right.
southern hemisphere is going to go through the vernal equinox. So for them, they'll be celebrating spring.
Yeah.
And for the northern hemisphere, we will be celebrating autumn.
And Sachi, you had a great post this week as well about the difference between calling it autumn and fall.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's, all words are spells, spellings are spells. And around this time of year where I see people talking about fall this, fall that, it's such an archaic, almost biblical undertone of a dissension of energy. So when you welcome a fall, you're like, you would never tell someone like, yeah, I hope you fall. That's like so mean and rude. You don't want to fall physically. You don't want to have your energy fall. Just because the leaves are floating down, like that's a really bad reason to call a season fall. So when we use the word autumn, it has such a higher vibrational energy. And Janine had a great point that AU is the original, it's still the periodic table word for gold. I forget the original word for it, but they actually changed the word to gold because let's see, I'm trying to look up.
Oh, is that why it's
aurum.
AU? I always
Yes,
wondered
yeah,
why it was
it's
AU.
called aurum.
Interesting.
AURUM, very close to autumn.
Oh,
And
so
yeah, they
fascinating.
changed it to gold.
Hmm.
And that's definitely, an alchemic,
Yeah.
another spell.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Go
Right.
with the gold.
But anyway, yeah, so we highly recommend to use the word autumn, not fall. You don't welcome a fall in your life. We can ascend into autumn. There's no
Yeah,
reason
because when you
to-
think about how we move through the celestial sphere too, we're always moving forward. I remember you making that point previously, and like we're always ascending, we're always
Mhm.
moving forward. Even retrogrades, they're still moving forward.
Exactly.
We're always in that gold. We're going for gold all the time.
Yep. Oh, for the gold.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger conversation to be had too about the equinoxes and the ages, what age we're in.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
I feel like that we might have that conversation amongst ourselves first, because I wanted to bring it up with you guys, but I couldn't resist in dropping that little nugget right here, because you really have to
Yeah.
think, if we've got a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere, why is the northern hemisphere vernal equinox the one that designates what age we're in?
Exactly. Because right now, for
Exactly.
the southern hemisphere, they're in the age of Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is their spring equinox, which would be the beginning of the year.
So I've decided to just stop calling it spring equinox, fall, autumn, autumn equinox, autumnal equinox. I just call it September, and what is it? April, March, whatever it is, another one.
And it just goes to show that, again, it's all about balancing the light and the shadow. And even on a global scale, we see how that works. The quote unquote work, energy work, inner work that the northern hemisphere does is equal and opposite of what the southern hemisphere does. So while the northern hemisphere is preparing to go more into the shadow and to embrace more darkness and bring the light into the dark, the southern hemisphere is doing the opposite. They are coming out of the shadow and going into the light. So, and it's just one more reason why the tropical algorithm is just absolute nonsense, because it really is just so far from what is actually happening in nature and in our connection with our celestial siblings in the sky.
Well, and again, it also shows you where it was developed. Is obviously tropical astrology was developed in the northern hemisphere and didn't take the southern hemisphere into consideration. And there's just a bigger zoomed out perspective that we can have now. We can have different conversations, and it's just time to have those conversations.
It is. And honestly, if you can get out of the northern hemisphere and go to the southern, it might be a good idea. Because if we think about who's in the northern hemisphere, US, Canada, all of Europe, China, Russia, these are places where not great things are happening. So
Yeah.
And
but
it's
go ahead.
it's really interesting too, like the age of Pisces in half of the world versus the age of Virgo in the other half, because then we start to really see how opposites are actually a part of a continuum of energy. And so, what is the third that's made between the two oppositions? And to me, this is the axis of purification. We find a much purity, that purification process that happens through both signs. So I see this as then an overall theme on the planet as an age of purification.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Spiritual purification, because we are
Exactly,
technically the vernal equinox in the northern hemisphere is in the age of Pisces. So yeah.
Yes.
Spiritual purification.
And I totally see that, like the northern hemisphere just being in delusion, basically lost in the la la land of altered states, whereas the southern hemisphere is getting organized, paying
Yeah.
attention to the details, getting more agricultural as well.
Shifting how money is working, which we're also
Yeah.
going to see a lot of that through Pluto's movement through
Ooh.
Capricorn.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be big.
That
Yes,
we can call a
indeed.
fall. Stuff is going to fall when Pluto actually enters Capricorn, and it's going to be all of the societal structures that we all know and pretty much don't love.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a lot of people hanging on, and that's going to be what makes the transition possibly difficult.
Yeah,
because
for them.
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard for a lot of people to accept change, even in their misery with how it currently is.
It's true.
Yeah. That's the potential of the equinox. Either equinox, honestly, is the convergence point in the figure 8.
Yep.
You can quantum leap some stuff, and honestly, the sun is 2 degrees approaching an alignment with supergalactic center. Like the 25th is the day the sun is aligned with supergalactic center through Virgo constellation. So it's some gigantic quantum leaps, like multiverse level quantum leaps. So get it together, humanity. Let's do this.
That gives me the chills.
I know, it's so major.
I think that we don't talk about the supergalactic center enough, because it is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot, like quantum wildcard crazy changes happen through black holes.
Yep. And it's going to be that the September equinox is going to be there for many years. Like, it's not like this moves really fast. This moves based on the precessional cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So for a few good 100 years, right, into probably close to 1,000 on, just as a 2 degree orb thing goes. So we're still approaching it, I think. Still moving towards it.
Yep.
So it's a long window of time. We got plenty of time, but we don't have to wait to make the leap.
That's right.
It's like in somatics. There's those pieces of sand. Weren't you saying this last time? There's those pieces of sand that have to go into the formation that is becoming first.
Yes.
So in a sense, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that in my bones. Jumping into that higher vibe pattern. Modeling it for others. Absolutely. So it's interesting. It's interesting time. Equinox is, I feel like it's a good time, especially the Virgo equinox is a great time to maybe clean up your diet, 3 days prior. I mean, we're kind of already in that window, but it can be like eat healthier. I like to fast on the way into an equinox or a solstice, or just stop eating meat so the body can run more light, so it can make that leap easier. Virgo's very practical. It's like, get up and do some yoga, get up and go for a walk, do some breath work to help prepare the nervous system for making that leap.
Yep.
So
spend significantly less time with screens so that you can actually feel what's coming through for you at this time. Because it's really precious, and you don't want to waste the opportunity with your head on Instagram all day.
Girl, I feel that.
Yeah, it's funny
I'm
'cause
I think
trying.
we're all
I've
been feeling that.
naturally been like pulled away from social media. I was just talking about doing like raw food diet. Zuby and I were like, yeah, that sounds good. So we're just eating stuff out of our garden and with like some minimal other things. So yeah, these things
Yeah.
have been anchoring naturally, which is it's good.
That is good. I feel the
I'm go-
incredible urge to clean my house.
That's where I'm at. I'm going
Yeah.
for morning walks and cleaning my house.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I saw dust and I was like, oh, the Virgo in me came out. I was like, oh, I need a dust.
I actually just dusted my whole house yesterday. It felt so amazing. It was just like, wow, I love this shine. Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But that's that Virgo energy. It's like
That
that
is
the
Virgo.
profound and the mundane, and like literally cleaning your space is like a shamanic act.
It is. And Virgo as the angel, and when I'm chart hacking, using where Virgo is in your chart, or if you have Virgo placements, it's like that's how you create your utopian timeline or anchor your own heaven in, is through all your Virgo stuff. It's through your health, because you can have everything in the world, but if you don't have your health, you're not having a good time here. And it's your organizational structures, keeping your space clean. And that's really, they say that the devil's in the details, but that's such a false notion. It's like the angels are in the details. Virgo's in the details.
I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
What else do they say? That cleanliness is godliness.
Yeah,
I mean, that
cleanliness,
is
that
actually
is the Virgo ultimate saying. Yeah.
yeah, Virgo mantra.
Yep. Clean it up.
Clean it up.
Good deal. Anything
So
else we want to throw in the hat? Does anybody have any Equinox questions or Equilux questions? We will post that link to timeanddate.org in the description for anybody watching this on the replay.
and so
You want to move into a quick retrograde recap, since we have so many
Uh-huh.
planets in retrograde.
yes.
And a bunch of them did, some jostling around this month. So let's just recap this for as we move into October. We'll have
So,
6 major celestial bodies in retrograde on October 1st. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and asteroid Chiron. And then Pluto over the month of October will go direct. So that's it. Pluto stations on October 9th and goes direct on October 11th. And then at the end of October on the 31st, he's the only planet doing anything different this month. Yay. Even though he is a heavy hitter because it's Pluto, you're going to start feeling some deep subconscious shifts as he goes direct. And then at the end of the month, there's 5 planets, or there's 4 planets and an asteroid. So 5 heavenly bodies: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and asteroid Chiron. So we still have 2 of the 3 other planets in retrograde at the end of the month, and we have Saturn.
Yeah.
Jupiter
And
doing his
Venus is
thing.
still, and Mercury are both still going through their
shadow.
post shadow period.
Yeah.
So we're still integrating those retrogrades as well, even though Venus is almost done.
Yeah, currently
Well,
they're
I
still
I guess
in their shadow
actually
periods.
Mercury is too. Mercury moves so fast.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
does.
Mercury's almost out.
He has a shorty.
Yeah, so
He's a
we're-
shorty retrograder. 3
Yeah.
weeks. We're done.
Shouty. He's a shouty. He's the come and go shouty.
He is.
He is.
Little yo-yo man. Like a
A little of this and a little of that.
Uh-huh.
Doing it 3 times a year.
That's right.
Hang on.
Sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4.
Yeah, this was a year where there was
4.
2022? Or yeah,
No,
this
it was this year
4.
because it was like
'Cause it
early in
started,
January.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. So it's one of those mercurial years.
Indeedy do.
That's
So
probably why all the messages have been jokes this year.
No, that's just my life.
Extra mercurial.
That's just my life at this point.
I think that's all of us.
Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
And
Shall we
especially
move?
with you
Oh.
have your Pluto in the 11th house. So all the hard work you do is
Oh
always
my gosh.
for the collective.
Tell me about it. Like,
Yeah.
I can usually, that's, I think, why the universe talks to me through synchronicity is like, I know it's shifting in the field, in the big planetary field. So I get the memos. Some people get the third eye, you know, clairvoyant, talk to their guides. For me, it's like, it's just everything out in reality talks to me. If I need to know something, there's a synchro. There's a message through a synchro.
Mhm.
It made
That's
for an interesting awakening experience, but
right. That's the waking
non-traditional.
dream.
Yeah,
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 that's when
exactly.
you're
How to
in the dream
navigate
time in the
reality
wake time.
as a dream.
Yes.
Yep. That's my
Yeah.
life.
I definitely have that as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's something that some people activate. It can be either polarity, like more clairvoyant or more somatic. I think, or like chronosentient sometimes pops in there too, and that's the synchronicity stuff. But you will definitely come to the middle on all of it, to where you will be attuned to doing a little bit of all of it as you fully integrate yourself. Because it's just, you know, if you're working with the unified field, that's just the way it has to play out. You got to be in touch with a little bit of everything, figure out how it all works.
Yeah.
So good times. Pluto in the
Yeah.
11th house, good times. For all my people out there with Pluto in the 11th house, I feel you. Sometimes it's challenging. Usually you have a lot of deep karmic ties to collective level things. You
Mhm.
probably had some shenanigans in a lifetime, I can tell you that. That you're dealing with.
Pluto
But
is definitely going to give you some work regarding power issues and power struggles. So
yes,
that's a big one.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just usually karmic, so you can usually assume there is somewhere in there a layer of karma, or 10,000.
Yeah. The thing to peel back that wants to die and be reborn.
Mm-hmm.
I know all about it. That's been my whole life.
Girl, yeah, Pluto
Pluto,
conjunct
BFFs.
Sun. Woo!
Mhm. It's, yeah, it's a lot.
It is
But
a
I love
lot.
it. I love it. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, and I will definitely change tomorrow. So
Mhm.
I'm on board.
That's a
Ooh,
powerful
es-
placement, though. That's some mastery level stuff there.
I would say, especially with your rising sign in Gemini, like being like waking up a new person is like really real for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I met myself 3 years ago, wouldn't recognize her. If I met myself 10 years ago, definitely would not recognize her. It's like insane the amount of changes
Mhm.
I've gone through. It's pretty wild. Thanks, Pluto. Love you.
Yes, indeed. Bringing the sun to that Pluto level. It's a
Yep.
big job. But you're doing it.
Yep.
Speaking of sun,
Speaking of the sun, it is in Virgo month.
it is in Virgo.
So we'll just
Um,
watch
long.
that happen.
Ooh, the longest season of them all. And it really does. I mean, sometimes it almost feels excruciating how long it is because it's so thorough. It's like, did you get it? Ooh, not yet. Ooh, did
Uh-huh.
you get it now? Oh, not yet.
Exactly.
How about now? And it's like, oh my God. Sometimes I feel like by the end of Virgo season, I'm like, there's something in me screaming for mercy. But then at the same time, it's like so amazing. Like by the time I get to the end of it, like the process that actually occurred, even though it might have been a bit excruciating at the time, was like so precious in retrospect.
Yeah, it really
Because of that,
pushes you
like
to that upgrade level. It
that
really
newness
does,
that
like,
is
give
born
you
through
the
that
squeeze.
process. Yeah, big time. Big time.
Yeah. Yes. So it's like at the end of the month, the sun is almost moving into the Virgo Libra void space, but it hangs in there until about November 2nd. So the very 1st of November, we start seeing the sun move into Libra Virgo void space. So it is,
Nice.
you're right, it is an uber long transit. It's 46 days. I counted from the star in the head when it aligns with that star V Virg to the star in the foot in her, was that left foot? That's the last star in Virgo.
Mhm.
Yep. And that's about November 2nd when it crosses that star. So it is a good solid 46-day transit of Our Lady Virgo
Yeah.
there.
So it looks like our first major stop with the sun is at Vindemiatrix, which is, where do we find it on the Virgin? Like kind of in her, say her hand area, but what is she holding in that hand? Her sword?
It's on October 3rd is that alignment. So if you go to October 3rd, it'll be aligned with that star. There it is. That is
So-
a palm leaf.
A palm leaf. Okay.
Okay.
She's
And then she
holding a
has some
palm leaf
wheat
and
over
a sheaf
here.
of wheat. Yeah.
And
I
her
think
wings are invisible.
Yeah, the sky apps don't put her wings on there. She does have wings.
I use a sky app that actually has her wings. What is it called?
Oh, nice.
And it's a pretty decent one. Let's look. Hang on. It's just called Star Chart.
Hmm.
Nice. I haven't used that.
Yeah.
So Vindemiatrix is definitely an interesting placement. I feel like you know a lot about that, Janine, but I definitely was reading about it and found, some interesting things about it.
Yeah, it's a tough star. It holds victimized templates, It's tough. It showcases some of the lower vibe energies of Virgo as far as victimization programs. It can be just having that poor me point of view. It can be, if you have a planet aligned with that in your natal chart, it can be you're just working through some stuff from a past life that you're still holding those frequencies from, where you haven't cleared your Akashic of that kind of thing.
And it's interesting too, because I think that I saw it on Astrology King. It's likened unto algal in terms of intensity.
It's
Which
it's
is very
close.
intense.
Algal's like the pits. Or not. Yeah, Algal. I was thinking Algal. Algal, yes, in Perseus, Medusa's head. That one is one of the toughest. That, I think it goes Algal, Rigel. Rigel and Thuban are kind of tied for 2, and then Vindemiatrix.
I would agree with
That's
that.
3. Yeah.
So it's interesting too, because it's called the Widowmaker, and it's also called the Black Widow, which I found really interesting in just terms of this like big time purification energy of pain, the pain body that's lodged in the dark feminine. Definitely victimization codes, definitely a lot of manipulation that can occur through here that is up for purification.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity because it is in Virgo to recode it. But you do have to get out of those spirals. Like, you have to get yourself grounded. You have to reframe how your thought processes go, because that's really key with this star, is like, do mirror work, do recoding of your language, how you talk to yourself. Are you self-deprecating? Stop that, right? Like, stop doing that.
Absolutely.
It really showcases the poor me sort of programs, and those can be challenging to get yourself out of.
It's gives you that opportunity to start taking responsibility for your bullshit. It's like something I saw today that was saying something like, if everyone you meet is an asshole, maybe you're the asshole.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or maybe you're just
outward.
Yeah,
but
the Debbie Downer.
more so, yeah, you're carrying something that is like skewing your view, your view of life, and it's you that needs to actually stop, look in the mirror, and take responsibility for what you're creating and change it if you don't like it.
Exactly. Because if you think everyone is an asshole to you, then clearly there's a belief that you have about yourself of everyone's always mean to me. And then you believe that about yourself, or again, like a victim complex, like, oh, I'm so put upon, that now it's reflecting back in people who are treating you this way to affirm these beliefs that you have about yourself.
Exactly. Why
And-
me? Why me?
Exactly. And it's so interesting because, you know, with Vinda Matrix, the first thing that came to my mind was like dominatrix. And then I thought it was interesting that like matrix
Dude.
is even there, which kind of
Yep.
brings like matriarchal kind of thing. But even just the word matrix, so I looked up what Vinde, Vinde is, and it says like to wind or twist or spool in terms of yarn. So that would make, you know, a lot of sense in connection with the spider spirit there. And so it's like literally how you wind and twist your own matrix, like the matrix
Yes.
program,
That's
and how
amazing.
that like is part of, your programming, which there's also another etymology where Vindi means to win and to gain and to achieve. So it kind of feels like going from that twist and turn into that winning, gaining. There's like a higher and lower octave, of course, just
Mhm.
like there's anything.
You can
But-
spiral yourself out of it. Yeah, you can spin yourself out of it for sure. But I get that downward spiral thought process through that translation where you
Right.
just keep talking yourself into a hole. You keep talking smack about yourself, you know. Virgo, I find Virgos tend to be so hard on themselves. Sometimes they're just very self-deprecating. You know, like they beat themselves up on the
Definitely.
inside
Oh.
so much. And that is
Yes.
the spiral. That's the spiral.
There's a real need for a moral purity. So when those Virgo placements feel like they did anything outside of that, they can like have a very difficult time in letting that
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
It just absolutely, they'll beat themselves up with it.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's because of these high standards. And again, with Virgo ruling over quote unquote heaven or utopian timelines, it's like things can be done the perfect way. But we also have to remember is, you know, success and getting there is a stepwise process. So you can't hold yourself and the whole world up to these certain standards to the point that it's hurting you.
Exactly. I think that's
Yeah, don't
That's
get
that's
over
really
technical.
pain. Getting rid of that pain program.
Yeah, and don't be over technical about it because they kind of lock themselves into their plan. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like they
it's
have
the
this thought
data.
process in their head and they're like,
Mhm.
this is the only way it can be. It can lead to like OCD complexes and things like that, I find. But you have to remember part of reaccessing your angelic template is the universe loves to play. It is about joy and playfulness, and you have to fold that back in. So if you're always complaining
Exactly.
about something or other people or the circumstance, if you are the Debbie Downer in the group, you probably need to take a look at those kinds of things running. Maybe you have something in your chart aligned with this fixed star and it's just up for recoding in this lifetime. So
Yeah. And if you're trying to do everything perfectly all the time, then this is also a placement that could be up for you to relax, allow that to unspiral and set itself free so that you can come into the higher octave.
yeah.
Exactly. Weave yourself a nice hammock and relax.
I love that. It's so funny because I was literally out today. I'm like, the first thing I'm doing through Virgo season is wake up, go put my feet on the ground every day and take some nice deep breaths. That is my 46-day thing that I am like every day. I don't care if it's raining, I'm going out and doing it. And then I went out, I was like, well, I do need to check emails and things like that. And I went and sat in my hammock. So it's so funny that you say that. Hammock. That's what I'm doing.
Perfect.
You know, one of the things that came through for me on this one too, and especially because we're going to talk about Corvus here next, I was like, okay, look at the Virgin here with her little black widow and her raven. I was like, you know, she is the sovereign woman. She is a medicine maker. She is of service. I'm like, you know, Virgo is the original witch.
Oh, yes.
Or the woman that we
sure.
call the witch. And, you know, when you're in your absolute like sovereignty and in your utmost purity, like the evil creatures are recoded too. So it's like
Okay.
she's there with like her Black Widow, and she's there with like the crow, which, you know, has been one of the things that's been used for nefarious, you
Yeah,
know.
I feel like
We see
that
like
symbol has
Mhm.
been so demonized. Like I have a
exactly.
different spin on it after, you know, looking at that mythology for a long time because I'm fascinated by Corvus. It's literally the three-eyed raven. It's the messenger from the void. So it's been demonized for sure. I feel like
Mhm.
Vendomatrix also is holding those demonized feminine. You know, that's where the issue is that when there's an alignment there, we get an opportunity to recode the harmonics. If you're carrying that in a birth chart or something pings it off in a transit, it's like, what's the high vibe of Vendomatrix? I can spiral myself. I can weave my own hammock to chill out, right?
Yep, exactly.
And the Corvus, like this is the star seeds that come through Corvus alignments are deeply connected with the void and very intangible realms of creation. And it's an amazing, powerful placement. So I think it's fascinating how, you know, I don't like to point fingers, but the patriarchy has demonized this feminine on both sides, on her left side and her right side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually very powerful opportunities to work with those energies if you can calibrate them at their higher octaves. I have placements aligned with Vendomatrix, so I feel you. I mean, I can tell you, going through high school and stuff, and even into college, there was so much of that smack, like just gossiping and talking about people and complaining about people. And like, after a while, you just got to step back and look at it and you go, all right, what am I running here? Because I don't have a nice thing to say about anybody. Right.
Mhm.
I totally feel you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
all somebody else's issue. It's not me. And then I was like, oh, you know, you start realizing, oh, there's a bigger thing afoot here. And that's when you start spiraling yourself out of it. You just start
Yeah.
watching the pattern.
I can relate with that, Janine. I actually also have my Pluto very close to Vendomatrix.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that like all of the above, the victim stuff, but
Mhm.
also very much like such a strong desire for like a moralistic perfection that can never be achieved. And then like, what is it when people like whip their own back, like flagellate themselves?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Self-flagellation.
So
Self-inflicted pain. Yeah.
yeah. So like learning how to be a human,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, because I mean, this is like anchoring heaven on earth, but we do that through our like the mundane acts of being the human. And like
Yeah.
humans poop. Humans do gross things.
I love it.
Mhm.
We all poop.
So,
Everybody
we all
just
poop.
chill
Everybody
out.
poops. It's funny.
Everybody farts.
I had a book called Everybody Poofs or Everyone Poops when I was
It's a kid's
younger.
book, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
It is. It's a good book.
Yeah, it is a
funny.
good book.
Just brings us all to the table on even footing.
Absolutely.
I think too, maybe through this fixed star, there might be some hypochondria that comes through, because I know I've experienced like very weird it's very subconscious, probably because it's Pluto related for me. It'll just be like, oh, there's a bump on my skin. Oh, you're gonna die. Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, that's
know?
definitely hypochondriac Virgo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So once I saw this chart and you get the true sky chart and you're like, oh, it's Pluto in Virgo. Well, then you kind of go, okay, who's running that? Because it's not from this lifetime. You absolutely know it's not from this lifetime.
Absolutely.
And you can go in and figure it out in a different way.
And I would say for me, I don't experience it as much through like that, like, oh, is that bump going to kill me? But for me, it manifests as if I'm not in alignment with myself, my knee will go out. If I start thinking things that I don't need to be thinking about, my neck will
your body
like,
just
slip a
reflects it
disc.
to you really quickly.
My body reflects it to me instantly. And so I've dealt with a lot of body pain. But in these last years, when I really started working on the past life that it was connected to. That was when I was finally able to untwist myself from those patterns.
Nice. Stabilize that energy a little bit more so it wouldn't just immediately whack you over the head with it. That's good. Yeah, because you should feel free, to feel what you're feeling, but it's tricky when it's coming from somewhere else. It's not a genuine in the moment feeling, and that's probably why it was coming up the way it was coming up.
Yeah.
Like you had to go, it was like, come excavate this over here and I'll stop hurting.
So then we go through this process with Vindematrix, and then we dive into like this vast, mysterious void space of the Raven.
Yeah, I love me some Corvus energy. So magical. The star seeds that come through there are just intense and incredible and mysterious, and it's everything you think Scorpio is, but times 10. It's like not in a goth kind of way either, but in like a magical, because I can just imagine.
That's exactly what I
thinking
thought.
Like,
I was just like, oh, kind of like, yeah, I saw emo boy.
Not in the emo kind of way, but in the magical, intuitive. It is an intensity. It's an intense vibe for sure, but they're intensely psychic as well because they're intensely interdimensional. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being emo.
This is true.
But it's
and
to
when you
transcend that, like, I'm doomed to,
right,
have that Eeyore mentality.
Yeah. It's the funk that comes with emo that it's like, just take that part away.
Exactly. You can be emotional. You don't have to be emo.
That's right.
And I feel like, Virgo through Scorpio feels like a story in a way unto itself. So I always relate, somehow Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio are very related to me. So it makes also a lot of sense that even like, as you say, oh, it has Scorpio vibes, even though it's not Scorpio. But to me, that makes a ton of sense because I feel like it's a whole arc, like it's the season, right? It's the autumn season in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Scorpio energy. It's just not water because it's a raven. This is, air type energy. And look what he's riding on the back of Hydra, the serpent. So there's some deep, crazy, intense feminine energy involved. That's why it's associated with the void. If anybody's had an experience in the void, you know how wild that is.
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always associate like Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio to be connected because it's like the Virgin gets into a partnership and has sex. That's the way like I always see it, as like that transition of I don't want to say like losing innocence because that's a very like patriarchal view of it, but it's sort of the curiosity. Like one thing I notice about Virgos is they love to learn because like it's like they're a virgin to everything. So they want to experience something and sort of cross that threshold. So, getting into a partnership and then experiencing it, along with the kind of dark depths of whatever it may be, is really enticing to Virgos.
I can see that. And I also see like, it's like the virgin and the whore and how they're one and the same. Mm-hmm. And feels like Libra is like this cosmic bridge between the two.
Yeah.
She's the
interestingly,
lady in the streets and the freak in the sheep.
It's like the scales also once did belong to Virgo. She was Lady Justice. And then similarly,
oh, really? I thought
Libra,
it used to be a part of Scorpio constellation.
Well, and then I was going to say it also used to be a part of the claws of Scorpio. So Libra has been a part of both constellations.
Everyone wants a little piece of Libra.
That's right, baby. We're highly desired.
That's right, we are.
That's true, y'all.
Right in the middle. Best of both worlds.
Have we said enough about Corvus? Do you think we should move on to Spica?
We can talk. Let's do that because it's really kind of like Spica and Arcturus. Yes. Oh, we're back to Spica.
Okay.
Spica.
Whatever.
Yeah,
whichever one.
Spica and Arcturus
The
are basically
17th.
in the same
and 18th.
alignment on what day is that? Well, I put the 17th.
It's
and
17th to 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like within that 24-hour period, the sun is aligned with both of them. So
So this
Spica
starts to really
being
feel like the gem of Virgo, like the like all of this work that we've done so far that we've been illustrating through the first part of her journey then starts to come to fruition. This is her harvest. This is like where her specialty shines.
Mhm. Yeah, that golden sheath of wheat.
And
I
there's
feel like that
gold
vibe
again.
is more of a softer feminine energy coming off that star versus Arcturus, which is definitely a masculine. It's a
Yeah.
Stargate Guardian type energy. Arcturian energy is definitely like Andromeda Portal Guardians. Some big
Ancient starseed lineage,
you get
angelic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where then Spica is like it's artistic, it's talented. It's like I was looking at the wheat. I'm like, okay, first of all, the wheat feeds everything, but then also it's like I just saw like the Virgo like creating floral arrangements, doing interior design,
Mhm.
creating design landscape, just like putting it to beauty. Like, you know, when we start to take in the flowers from the garden and we put them in the home and we start to decorate with gourds and it's like starting to build the hearth.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does speak of that
That's the
nourishment
perfect.
in that way.
Yeah.
And I find people that have alignments from Spica back towards the beginning, you know, towards Virgo's head are definitely more of that Spica energy, spike, whatever, comes through versus if they're on the Arcturus side of the alignment, it's definitely, you can just tell in their personality, there's so much more of that Arcturian, you know, like cosmic bouncer, portal guardian, like it's more masculine, like it's just really obvious in their
Mhm.
energy.
Yeah, more alienoid.
Mhm.
Yes.
So it does depend on if you have natal planets, like which side of that alignment is it on, because you're going to resonate a little bit more with one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it can be an interesting call. It can take a literal conversation with somebody to discern that. You can't necessarily know that from just looking at their chart. So that's an interesting nugget when you have more than one fixed star in an alignment. That's true in general, those kinds of things. It's either a blend or, you know, it's one or the other if it's not exactly aligned with it. But that's a very big, huge, that's like a huge energy day when the sun as a transit aligns with Arcturus.
Mhm. And Mercury is going to be
Oh,
conjunct there
man.
as well. So, and
It's
Mercury's
gonna be-
at home in Virgo. So there's a lot of, it's like, it's natural, I want to say. It feels natural, but it's still intense.
Mhm.
It feels natural, but it's still intense because when things are exalted like that, it brings out all the good, but it also brings out whatever is still up for purification. So it's gonna like, you know, it's like that next wave where you're like, oh, are we there yet? Oh, not quite yet. Okay.
Yeah. This will be a great day to communicate about your harvest, sort of like what Georgia was saying, what you're taking from the outside and bringing inside for the rest of probably until went through winter, whether that's actual harvest and, you know, maybe you're canning and making jellies and jams and pickles and things like that, or if this is sort of an internal mechanism.
Yeah. And with that Mercury Sun conjunction in this place, it's going to really illuminate for us like a soul level clarity on where it is we need to continue making shifts in our daily routines and rituals and what's really working for us and what's not. But also with Mercury, we can probably expect that we're going to receive messages and get some important downloads in regards to how we're running our energy on a soul level.
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating
Yeah.
transit. South Node, it doesn't show up on the Sky app, but South Node is parked there all
Oh, that's
month.
right.
All month, not kidding. It's like whoever has, incarnations as Arcturians or have that lineage, like South Node is going to move you through some stuff to reintegrate that lineage as
So
something that you've got, like, you've got it in the background somewhere, but it's not excavated yet. Whew, all month.
This is South Node on my IC. My IC is here.
Oh, wow.
So we're definitely doing some psychic basement stuff, and it's
Ooh,
not
yeah,
comfortable.
girl.
It is
No,
not
it's not.
comfortable.
It cannot be. To get to the golden nugget, that the South Node may still have, that is an integrated like skill set, or some sort of lineage that you need to integrate, or station of identity you need to connect with.
Yeah,
it can be uncomfortable moving through the crud, the sludge, as we like to call it. So wade through
just like
it.
admitting things about ourselves, like, oh man, you know what? I do that. Okay, I need to just like starting to get like really real about ourselves a little bit. So it's a really good one ultimately.
Yeah, that's a big day. And we have someone
solar eclipse
in the live check who mentioned that the Mayan calendar reflects that October 17th is the last day of the electric moon of service.
Oh, nice.
And the 18th is the first day of the self-existing moon of form.
What an interesting timing with that.
Yeah.
I always love the Mayan calendar with true sky astrology. Like the things that line up with those two systems are incredible.
I'm like, you couldn't make this up. Like
Mm-mm.
the amazingness of this like unfolding that's occurring through the cosmos and ourselves. I mean, it's like we couldn't have come up with a better story ourselves, except for we did. We this is all of our story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like truly incredible.
Yeah. And as Janine was saying a couple days before on the 14th, we have the eclipse. So
the solar eclipse.
Yeah, the solar eclipse. So this is even more of a power portal. It's like the 14th, probably the 13th, you're going to be feeling it anyway. 13th through the 18th, 19th is just going to be like, wham.
Boom. Yeah,
Wham,
look at
bam,
that.
bam.
Mercury
Yeah.
and the Spica Arcturus alignment are equidistant from the eclipse.
Yeah. And Mars
Profound.
is hanging out. It's a loose conjunction, but he's still there.
Given lots of energy to this. It's like, oh,
yeah.
Are you feeling it? We're going to rev it up a bit.
Yeah.
So for reals, if there's lineages in your South Node stuff that's integrated, this is the month. It's coming up.
I feel like
especially for Arcturian star groups, I would say.
Definitely. Yeah.
But in general, the overtone with the eclipse is like any lineage that would be some kind of guardian type energy, because Arcturians are really like, the way I think about them is like universe bouncers, right? They're like, we're the muscle. That's kind of how I see it. So any lineage you've got in there that is masculine or protective, like you're going to be working to integrate the high vibe of that masculine lineage, not the low vibe, which is like domination. It's the protector and safekeeper type energy, the getting shit done kind of people.
Should we talk about a little more about the eclipses now? Are we at a natural place to?
Yeah, I think so, because we kind of covered South Node and Mercury conjunct the Sun, and that will come up again with the solar eclipse. So yeah, let's just scoot on over to the moon stuff with the eclipses.
All right, this is the first eclipse, October 14th, 1:44 EST PM.
At 1:44.
Yeah. Oh, the universe.
The
jokes. The jokes. Very mercurial.
That's my life right there.
And
Literally, I
we
asked the
also
other
have South
day,
Node right here too.
this is a funny sidebar, but the other day with the comet Nishimura, perihelion during whatever, what was it? Was it the new moon, full moon, whatever? And I was like, oh, discernment with comets, like stay, neutral and be like, is this in highest alignment? I was like, hey, universe, I just asked the quantum question. Hey, universe, what's up with the comet timing with this? I'm like, what's up? And literally my phone gets a notification, solar flare 144, like 1.44 magnitude solar flare. I was like, thank you. Like, got it.
Exactly.
It's an upgrade. Got it. Thanks. So these are the jokes, folks.
And this
Got
is how
jokes
the
for days.
information arrives when you're tuned in and paying attention.
Exactly.
So let's see. It is kind of intense. It's a new moon. A solar eclipse is always a new moon, but the aspects are kind of intense. I'm going to consider it conjunct Mercury because it's a 4-degree orb. It's really close to Mercury.
I would agree.
It's opposite Chiron and the North Node. We know it's opposite the North Node because the nodes designate eclipses. So the other node is obviously going to be on the other side, but Chiron is also over there in retrograde. So we're definitely going to be reworking, moving through some pain body stuff, like to integrate that on the other side of the chart in Pisces, like maybe some spiritual disconnection, something that's kept you spiritually disconnect from those higher realms definitely wants to come up to be addressed through this. So that may not be the most comfortable energy. And I feel like solar eclipses are, the energy is good for about 6 months. It opens a cycle of processing that is an overtone, like a greater wheel of energy for about a 6-month period till the next season of eclipses. So that's kind of the overarching theme for the next 6 months is step into your power, step into your protectorship, move through some of that spiritual disconnect stuff.
And because
into your North Node. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It's hitting the North Node, South Node energy. So the eclipse is super, super intense. But the fact that Chiron's involved and Chiron is the key to healing, and that this eclipse is happening near Spica Spica, which is like where the grain is. So there's a lot to be said about Virgo and how it rules gut health. Well, it rules the healthcare system in general because it's a service industry, but it rules health, and specifically it rules gut health. So, it's really important to watch what you eat, especially around eclipse season, through the equinox. Yes, that too, but definitely through the eclipse season. And even when we think of wheat and how it's been kind of hijacked during our time, because like most wheat has like glyphosate in it, and it has all, like the nutrients have been stripped out of,
genetically modified.
Yeah, exactly. GMOs.
Been homogenized to a single kind of wheat that was easy to grow but not easy to digest.
Exactly. Right. And that's so that it could have intellectual property. And so those would be considered like DNA downgrades, as opposed to DNA upgrades. So ways to have DNA upgrades is find some, heritage seeds. I'm sure the Amish people near you, farmers near you have them. You can find them online, buy them, even if you don't grow it now. That's what you want to have on deck so that you can have your own food. And we talked a lot about this in our Taurus episode too. The way to have your DNA upgrades, just the easiest baseline level, is to eat healthier. That's nutrient dense foods that are not genetically modified and things like that. And especially if you struggle with mental health, the gut-brain axis, it's undeniable. All the data's there. What you eat directly influences your mood. Over 90% of your serotonin is created in the gut. So if your head's not happy, it's because your gut's not happy.
Yeah.
And it's also going to bring up, a deeper trust in ourselves, because this is, the enteric nervous system. This is literally trust your gut. It will speak to you outside of the mind.
Yeah.
So what comes through when you have that feeling in your stomach, and especially when your gut health is being addressed and is healthy, then we really know we can trust our gut. So this is also how we do DNA upgrades. Clean the gut, and you have a deeper ability to literally trust yourself because you can feel what you truly feel. And
Yeah,
can
you
feel
come
that
into
through
more of
the
your
gut.
body awareness. Yeah.
Yes.
That good old intuition comes in. It's amazing what happens when you clear that stuff out and you get real clear headed. You can just concentrate. You can think, you can focus, and then the higher level stuff starts coming in. That's fun.
It's true. And that's why Virgo's known to be such an intuitive sign, almost likened to the water signs that have their emotional body telling them, different information. But Virgo, they have their gut telling them what they need to
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, it's very claircognizant.
Yes.
I always feel like claircognizance is a body clair. It's not an upper chakra clair.
It's
And it's
just
exactly-
a knowing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's exactly what you're saying. It's like the body, the wisdom of the body being in tune with the gut, because that's
Yes.
where true wisdom of the body comes through.
And
I
Virgo
totally
is
agree with that.
deeply intuitive. It's, it's often called like the analytical sign, and it certainly is. I mean, it's like mental faculties are incredible, but it is the spiritual of the earth signs. All of the mutable signs are kind of like the spiritual aspect of that particular element. So she is a very spiritual earth sign, which is deeply intuitive. This is like the wisdom of the earth. This is also the mother.
Yeah, Virgo is such a fascinating archetype. Really is.
Yeah.
And also with this eclipse, new moon eclipse, there's a square to Pluto and an inconjunct to Uranus. So Pluto will be direct at the time of the square. So it's not Pluto retrograde, but the inconjunct with Uranus is Uranus retrograde. So I always find inconjuncts very informative. I think they're fascinating aspects. I don't feel like they're minor aspects at all. So the fact that there's an inconjunct with Uranus retrograde, and we know Uranus is just floating in back into that Aries, like right underneath the Ram's back legs. So Aries Cetus void, but mostly concentrated in Aries energy, but still a void space. That's just such a fascinating place for Uranus to be, because he wants to shift some understanding of yourself, right? You got to shift something, but it's some part of you that you just don't even know exists. So it just makes me laugh. Like, I wonder what's coming up for people when they start digging into some of these things and liberating these aspects of themselves that they didn't even know were in there. And that's the
Right.
6 month, that's the 6 month energy that's going through. So if it feels like you are just working through some tense Pluto energy, some weird, I don't even know what this is kind of energy, but just keep going because you're in it. You're doing it. I think it's fascinating. I think so many people are going to come. We're going to come out the other end of this eclipse season in 6 months. And so many people are going to step into their power. That is going to be the outcome of this process over this period. Is like, there's going to be a lot of people waking up, stepping into their power.
Huge life
Absolutely.
changes ahead.
Especially people who are stepping into service for the first time,
Yes.
since Virgo rules service and the whole Pisces Virgo axis. A lot of people are going to be spiritually inclined to do this. Not
Yeah.
saying you have to be a spiritual worker, but
No.
and we've talked about this in a past episode, is like, being spiritually aligned doesn't mean you have to be a spiritual worker. If what your soul and spirit is aligned to do is create art, or to tell stories, or to be a money magician, maybe accounting, you love the numbers or something, then that is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
So when we
it's
talk
gonna-
about spiritual alignment, that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
your soul calling.
And in general, it's going to
Exactly.
help you take practical steps towards that kind of empowerment, like your spiritual thing that you're here to do. it's probably going to help you ask those big questions, you know, with the Chiron stuff, like, well, what the heck do I believe in, right? And how do I want to apply that? What do I want to do with this? How do I want to enact this? So, and it's just going to help people step into like a more empowered version of themselves. And, you know, energetically, they're going to be assisting in, whether they're conscious of this or not, making those steps into your own empowered personal timeline helps shift the planet, right? So if everybody does a little bit of that, and we all take steps towards, like, you know, cleaning up the environment, eating better, getting organic food, like, you think about all the money that changes hands just in the agriculture realm. If you just started eating healthier and stopped drinking like soda and potato chip, like, some of those things would just go away. That would change a whole trajectory.
For sure.
So it's, you know, it can be that kind of stuff.
And-
It can be very practical things.
Exactly.
Very simple.
And you don't have to, like, if you like soda and potato chips, find a local farmer who grows their own potatoes. Learn how to make your own potato chips, you know, a healthy way. You can still enjoy that. And soda, you can find someone who, you know, makes their own ginger beer or something like that. You can still enjoy the same tactile pleasures, but they don't have to harm your body.
Yeah. And they can come from, I love, you know, the local sources too, like source local as much as possible, for sure. Because that's a very Virgo thing.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It's the practical thing. You know, if getting rid of all of your favorite things is not, that's not practical for anyone, you know? And so it's about finding like ways that you can make healthier substitutions so that you don't feel like you're lacking anything in your life. And there are very real solutions. Every single thing that you enjoy, you can find a healthier version of it.
Yeah, that's a good first step. I do feel like once you start getting on that bandwagon, it is the upward spiral, literally. You're like, well, I just don't need fried potatoes anymore. I prefer, like you were like, I'm going to do the raw food thing. And you keep doing that until it's like you're at the peak of whatever that healthy version of that looks like. Like, you know, we buy local meat, we eat local vegetables, we do the home cooking thing, or we get food from a place that does home cooking and supports somebody who uses those things. It can be all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And your body, once you know, it's like once you heal your gut, once you detox to a certain level, your body no longer craves it. And like you will actually be repelled. Like I remember when Mars was going through Taurus, I was having such it, like I tried to eat a piece of candy that had like, you know, artificial dyes, artificial flavors. It tasted like gasoline in my mouth. Like my senses were so heightened. I could not eat anything with artificial flavoring because my body was literally like so tuned in and just absolutely rejecting it. It was a really, really wild experience. And so, you know, that can happen, is that your body just starts craving things that are good for you, and things that, you know, maybe you did once enjoy, it won't even be enjoyable anymore. And that is also a DNA upgrade.
That's developing the mind-body intelligence, where you start to associate feeling good with how things taste. And so that's partly how that starts to shift. You're like, wait a second, when I eat fermented carrots, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
It starts to shift you.
Every time I do a fast and then I go back to, you know, oh, okay, I'm going to have this again. I'm like, wow, that is way too sweet. You're like, oh my gosh, I was so desensitized to that.
Yeah.
So
and most people like associate being full, feeling full, with feeling good, rather than feeling, you know, healthy or feeling like you got the nutrient density that you needed to feeling good. Because obviously there are emotional undertones of feeling empty, having some void, and then just filling it with food. And that is the coping mechanism. And that, like, full equals good. But actually when you're full, right, you can't really receive, especially if you're full of a bunch of junk.
Yep.
And again, that's that gut health
As a Virgo.
to create space for your higher intelligence to come in.
Exactly. All right. Do you want to move to the full moon for the
Let's do it.
lunar eclipse?
Y'all, I just have to take a quick pee-pee break, so I will just be back in like 2 minutes tops.
Okay, okay.
Let's do this. And it is at 3:53. Everybody poops, everybody pee-pees.
We are in full Virgo mode.
Yes, we are. We're gonna normalize it. Dang it.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And so for this eclipse, if you have not seen episode 1, which is all about Aries and Cetus, and of course we can't talk about them without talking about Pisces, but specifically we talk in depth about this void space in the sky and what it represents and how it is connected to Aries, Cetus, and Pisces. And this is where the eclipse is happening, people. So, you know, it's a big one. This is a really intense space in the sky. And North Node is there as well. North Node being the node that's putting us on our soul's mission.
Yep. Do we want to share some of the graphics, like solar
Yeah,
eclipse
let's
versus lunar? Let's show them with the solar eclipse. Let's show the trajectory where that's going to be, so people can, before we jump straight
that's
into
a good idea.
the
All right.
lunar eclipse, and we'll give Georgia a minute to come back.
Alrighty.
And that way people can, I think it's over the west coast of the US and down through part of South America is where the solar eclipse is going to be coming through. So if you live in those parts of the country or South America, yeah, Central America, parts of Central America. Is that going straight through Panama? I have to message my friend. She might be watching. Activation station.
Yeah. Wow. It's like literally bridging
Mm-hmm.
northern southern hemisphere,
Going
like
straight down through there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an annular solar eclipse, so it's not a full total solar eclipse. It has the ring around it, which is really cool. Those are really cool. And it's because of the distance the moon is to the earth at that point.
You want me to pull up that few
Yeah,
types of eclipse?
if you want to, yeah, so people can see.
Are we done with these graphics?
Is there, let's see. I think that's good.
Okay,
Everybody's
yeah.
got eyes on it. It's
People,
recorded for all
eclipse
the
is gonna go
posterity that we
straight
shared the
through
info.
my house.
Straight through. There we go. 3 types of solar eclipses. So you can see the difference in the placement, like where the moon is in its orbit, because the moon and the earth are on they're on different planes, different axes. Like there's a 5-degree tilt difference. That's why we only have eclipses every 6 months.
Yeah, I
Every
have
6
another.
months, the node comes into play, which is the axis between the ecliptic and the moon's.
Yeah, let me pull that one up too.
The moon's, I guess the moon's ecliptic. What would you call the moon's ecliptic? The lunar plane. There you go. Yeah.
There we go.
So you can see how it's at a 5.5, 5-degree tilt. So when the ecliptic and the lunar plane intersect, that is technically what the nodes are. And that is when the node comes into play. We have eclipses. So the annular eclipse in the middle over here on the right is the one that we will be having in October. Yep. Those are fun. So
And
get your glasses out if you live in the path of totality, or even if you live, anywhere close, you'll get a little something, something.
which a little kind of funny sidebar, years before Janine and I had ever met, we were actually in the same area for a total solar eclipse.
Yeah,
in
when we were,
Kentucky.
it was the 2017 Great American Eclipse. Of course we were both there.
Yeah, we were doing grid work, what, 4 or 5 years before we ever met each other, connected here. So that's pretty wild. And I did not have glasses, but I watched it with my bare eyes. I set timers. I don't recommend it. But I did it and I lived to tell the tale.
I had glasses and it was incredible to watch. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch it without the glasses too.
Oh my God.
It was insane. It was insane. I was there doing rituals, so
You're
it was a good
probably
one.
seeing like spots for days after that.
No, I
No?
didn't. Well, I had a timer for like when it was start to safe, like safe to start looking when it was completely black, and then a
Oh,
timer
okay.
for when like 2 seconds before it would be unsafe, and then so I stopped looking at it. So I
Yeah,
was
the
able to
sky
like
got
it
so weird. It
yeah.
was so weird.
it was
The
very
light
dark.
was like gray. It was so
Uh-huh.
weird.
Yeah, and all the birds and crickets and
Mhm.
stuff like stopped for a second. It was pretty wild.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is wild. We have another one of those great American eclipses in 2024. So meet up.
Yeah,
Oh
Blue
yeah.
Sky Crew meetup.
Maybe that'll be our first group outing.
Indeed, it could be.
Where does that happen?
I think it's in Illinois. Is it Indiana or
I think-
Illinois or Missouri? It's in one of those states,
Mhm.
like close to Western Kentucky. It's not far from where I live. Probably a couple hours. I will be going. So
Yeah,
that'll be
I will.
fun to
I will
talk
be
about
going
that.
wherever it is too, because
Yeah.
it's pretty close, somewhere in the Midwestern area.
Road trip, Georgia.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl. So lunar
we got-
eclipse. We decided to
Yeah.
show solar eclipse past slides while you were away from the mic.
Should
So
I
we
just
haven't
pop
really
up the lunar eclipse times and map real quick before we go into the astrology of it?
Sure.
sure.
Here we go.
Here we go for posterity. So the part shaded in on the right, like most of Africa and Europe and Russia and parts of Australia, that's going to get the peak of the lunar eclipse. It'll be able to be seen most in those areas, not really visible in the US. So we get the fun for the solar eclipse. The other side of the world gets the fun for the lunar eclipse, which I'm fine with that. You can have the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Those things, blood
They're
moons.
pretty
Ugh.
intense.
They are very intense.
Like kind of bring out
Especially
the
this one.
worst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
we
this
can bring
one
out
and
the-
where it is. Woo!
Mhm. Look at that. Look at that.
It's in the spiciest void space.
Mhm. Yeah, I was wondering what it would look like on a sky app. In my software, it looks like it's in that Pisces, Aries, Cetus triangulation area, but it looks like it's right on the cusp of coming out of that.
Well,
Yeah, okay.
if I would take away the little like critter pictures, it's still, this is the closest
It's
star
on
of
that
Aries.
far corner of it for sure. It's like
Yeah. It's pretty triangulated.
mhm. Yeah,
I'd
if
say.
it was like 3 degrees more to the right, it'd be right in the center of that triangle.
Yeah.
But
I
it's on
agree.
the left corner, in my opinion, of that triangulation area. But
Mhm.
still, that is some serious. Look, your app even shows the lunar eclipse on the moon. That is wild.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have to see if mine does that. I never noticed that. I don't think mine does, but that's cool. Yeah, that's some intense stuff.
Definitely. And again, if you haven't seen episode 1, all about this space, then you really need to go watch that, because there's no way that we can encapsulate everything about this space in this episode. But it is intense. It is the end of the cycle with Pisces into the birth energy of Aries and the celestial librarian or historian of Cetus. So it's an
like a
energy branch
consciousness,
point.
it's a consciousness bridge area, because you look like, I realize this looking at this app in particular, like Aries and Cetus are making eye contact. There is a bridge, a consciousness bridge through there.
Yeah, liminal
So-
space.
And I think I don't think it's episode 1. It's is it episode 3? Maybe episode 3, the Aries Cetus episode. Can't remember.
Oh, I thought it was the first one. Oh yeah, you're
No,
right.
that's
Sorry,
the
it is
intros.
episode 3.
I think it's episode 3. Anyway, it's really easy to see in our episode art which one it is.
My
'cause
bad.
it'll
yeah,
have
yeah.
Aries and Cetus on there. No, it's cool. I just want to make sure if people
thank
wanted to
you for
watch
that.
it, they
Yeah.
were going
Oh
to the
yeah, no. Episode 1, that's right. We just
his
talk about
intros.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So go get you some of that episode, the Cetus Aries episode, because it's a hot tamale.
Yes,
That was a good one.
It was a good one. Shaking shit up. Let's see, a 6-degree orb conjunct Jupiter. So you can see Jupiter's in play, kind of on the periphery. He's in retrograde. So we're recoding some stuff there. Opposite Mars and Mercury conjunct. Like they are conjunct in the Virgo Libra void. Just exited Virgo. I'm like, wow. I haven't even fully wrapped my head around the aspects of this lunar eclipse, but it's a North Node lunar eclipse. So it's like moving into lunar matrix work. And that, I
Right.
mean, diving into that in that part of the sky is like, whoo, are we going to be bringing up some stuff that is
Yeah.
stuck? Whoo, and deep.
In the chat, we have a comment on the Akashic records. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. It's like, again, there are so many timeline branch points when we talk about equinoxes and eclipses. And it's like, it's the whole shebang over the next month, but especially as we're going through these eclipses, it's intense with the moon here.
Yeah,
Oh, someone says
definitely.
they have 5 planets in this area. Wow, that
Golly.
is intense.
Yeah. Definitely a galactic historian.
Mhm.
Stelliums. Yes, indeed. Stellium. Those are some serious stelliums.
Oh, I just love that area of the sky.
Yeah. Mars and Mercury on the opposition is like, make sure you make those connections. Make sure you pick up that phone, that
And
galactic phone.
make sure if you say you're going to do something, make sure you do it. Anytime there's a Mercury Mars conjunction, you have to be impeccable with your word.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Your actions and your speech need to align.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think anything that doesn't align is gonna show up. It's gonna be very obvious. Like it's gonna,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel it. It's gonna, yeah, it'll just be obvious.
Yeah.
Or the
and-
repercussions will come back kind of, you'll feel the repercussions of it if you don't, for
Yeah.
sure, if it's out of alignment. Because Jupiter there is gonna blow it up.
That's
Be like, did you see that? Was that big enough? Do I need to get bigger? Do you need to get in here deeper to figure out where that's coming from? Okay, we'll manifest that again if you need me to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the case of how big do you need the clue to be to go figure out where it's coming from. What else? There's a bunch of aspects with this one. A strong trine to asteroid Juno, 4.5 degrees from Regulus. So, you know, trines are usually supportive, like the plate. There's energy that wants you to do that inner union kind of thing. Or if you have a partner that is like your, you know, I really don't like using the word soulmate, but if it's like your soul partner, you will quite potentially be doing this work together. It may come up through the relationship and you can navigate it very consciously to make upgrades. It's like help each other remember who you are at those deeper levels, those sovereign levels. So that's fascinating aspect. Then there's 2 other weaker aspects, sextile Saturn retrograde in Aquarius and a weak square to Pluto in Sagittarius Capricorn void. So a couple of weak karmic aspects, probably like, let's just clear out some loose ends on these, you know, an opportunity to get in some of that Saturn, like, you know, we were saying for Akashic stuff, definitely some opportunities to get into some karmic work in your Akashic.
And
Pluto's
even though
similar,
it's a weak
but
sextile to Saturn, that's still, that sextile is the Saturn moon matrix. So there's going to be a lot coming up, even though even though it's a weak sextile.
You're right about that. And, you know, I feel
Saturn will
like
still be retrograding.
y'all let me know what you think about lunar eclipses, because I feel like they kind of close out the previous eclipse cycle. It's kind of like, let's tie up some ends with this. We're closing this out. So, and I don't feel like they work the same way as a solar eclipse that opens a cycle for 6 months. I feel like lunar eclipses are kind of like, let's close the doors on this. Like, let's do this moon stuff and close this cycle out. Because you really, you know, you don't really want to be up in moon work like that for
No, but
for
you
6
are
months.
closing it out because of the nature of it. And the sun is like what is like masculine energy, like electric energy that's going to be opening the door, opening the cycle, opening like the quality of the energy for the next 6 months. Whereas the moon is going to show like where you're getting into the nitty gritty and doing your work so that you can open the space for the solar energies to move through.
Right on. Yeah, I feel that too. Because, you know, moon is a dead light luminary. So I do feel like it's like purge the thing. And it's a North Node lunar eclipse, which is so interesting. Because it's like North Node is the ascending node. So it's like, let's transit this lunar stuff. Let's get on through it. Go remember who you are. Go remember those deep galactic aspects of yourselves as you clear out that stuck emotional stuff. All that stuff clogging up your memory banks and your DNA. So yeah, it might be it's like, well, who is it that talks about it? Like, I found this so fascinating. There's somebody on Instagram that talks about it as it's like a whole lunar cycle in a day. And I love that translation of it.
That is like a Vedic perspective. So that is basically why like you don't leave your food out during an eclipse and you put everything away, because in that one day or in that one night, the moon is essentially going to go through an entire moon cycle. So things will spoil more quickly, and also things will be accelerated quite a lot. So whatever emotional process is coming up, it's going to be enormous in a way. So this is also why it's advised to take it easy. It's not the time to go put your crystals out.
No, definitely not.
No way.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, because you don't want to like be, that's not what you want to gather. So it's a time to really just like take it easy, be chill, work humbly, like maybe the humble, there's the etymology that we don't know, but like work sincerely and with the heart to process what comes through. But really just letting yourself chill during this eclipse is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah,
that would also
definitely
explain why like menstrual cycles shift around lunar eclipses as well.
That's an interesting thought too. People have like a shift in their cycle.
Yeah.
Notice if it comes through
Which
a
can
period of a lunar eclipse.
Yeah, and that can be your body's way of telling you, you know, how you need to emotionally recalibrate basing on what constellation you have your month season.
Yeah, so I have a feeling like the play out of this will be intense if you've got stuff that you need to excavate at deep galactic levels. But B, the play out is awesome. Like just a gigantic shift in awareness. You'll like, I remember this part of me, and it incorporates into your understanding of who you are in this lifetime as a human. So it's a very fascinating lunar eclipse for sure. Go do your karmic clearing stuff, like go do your emotion code, go do your body code stuff on the lead up to this. Start at the solar eclipse and for 2 weeks do, you know, a couple, well, however long it takes to sit down and do some emotion code or body code. Go clear a couple of emotions every day. And I guarantee you'll have an easier quantum leap for this lunar eclipse.
Well, absolutely. That's great advice.
Might have some really cool remembrances too, or dreams. Can come through dreams.
Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like that Cetus energy can trickle up through dreams or meditations or
Visions.
from subconscious routes to conscious routes, basically. Visions, yeah. Guided meditations, do some yoga nidras. That would be really good to do. And just see what wants to come up to memory, to your memory as a human. I think it'll be fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Any other thoughts?
I feel like we covered that pretty well.
I think so. Just going to
All right.
reiterate to go watch that Aries and
Yeah.
Cetus episode.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other? That was it for the lunar eclipse visual aids, wasn't it?
I believe.
Okay.
Actually,
can't
there was
remember.
one about the moon Earth orbital plane, but we kind of looked at one of them
Okay.
already.
That's
There was
fine.
another one.
Okay, we don't need to look at another one
Okay.
then. We got it. Busy month. Lots of
It is
energy
a
this
busy
month. It's just, I feel like I already want to stay in bed.
I know I had a 3-day stay in bed spree during the void
recent?
space between Leo and Virgo. I left to use the restroom and to get food, and that's it.
That was the new moon. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that comment, like the codes coming in from that comment, I really think that what has got me right now. It's like it is bringing up some stuff. It's helping it surface, but it's just a lot of very uncomfortable stuff that needs to get moved out of my energy. And seriously, like this week, it has been rest as much as possible, do as little as you need to do every day to get the things done that you need to do, and then just go get back in bed. And it has helped, but I've been sleeping 12 hours a day and I still feel exhausted.
That's okay. I went through like sleeping 16 hours a day for a couple years. Like, I mean, between maybe like 10 and 16 hours average. But if that's what the body needs, that's what the body needs.
Yeah. And I like to do that. I know through my dream work, it's like if I wake up and I don't remember a dream, I'm like, body's not done, go back to sleep. And it's like when I wake up and I have 2 or 3 dreams that I recall, and I'm like, I wake up naturally and it's like they're just there. I'm like, yep, we're done. And it usually is 3 solid sleep cycles. If I slept 14 hours, or if I slept 16 hours, that'd be 4 sleep cycles. And baby, that's living right there. Just stay in bed. Oh man, I think that's great. Some people be like, oh no way, not me, man. I love sleeping.
Me too.
Oh, one day.
So luxurious.
It is, honestly. Yeah, the freedom to go to sleep when you want and wake up when you want, honestly, money can't buy it.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I haven't slept past 7 a.m. in 6.5 years.
But you like being an early bird, right?
Well, for sure, but here's the difference is that before I would have my own space to myself all the time, right? But now I'm a mom all day, so now I stay up way later than I ever have because it's the only time I have to myself. So now that feeling of wanting to sleep in is very strong. But my son is literally a fire rooster. That guy's the first guy up.
Oh my gosh.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Oh yeah.
So
it does shift things a bit because, I love my alone time. So now that, I mostly get it at night. So my strategy has been you can sleep when you die. but but it's actually not working for me. So
yeah.
I've been having to really prioritize sleep. It's been like a real big issue for me, actually.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect time. Again, Virgo being daily routines and
good habits.
And
I slept
Pisces
10 hours last night. It was amazing.
You're well on your way. I mean, that's a great Virgo for the month for Virgo season, I am going to get enough sleep. I mean, that's a great goal, honestly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, truth be told, I would definitely be asleep right now if we weren't talking.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on through these.
Yes, we'll continue. That way we could get everybody into
Tuck
bed.
everybody into bed.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's
So,
move on to Mercury.
Mercury moved into Virgo October 1st.
Mercury will pop into Virgo on October 1st, that's just interesting timing that it's like pops right out of the void, right into Virgo on the 1st. And then is in Virgo all month until the 28th. And then Mercury goes into the Virgo Libra void. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked to see what star in Libra the void ends at, but I'm pretty sure both Mars and Mercury are hanging out in there in the void space between Virgo and Libra until the beginning of November.
Yes, because it's like the 28th, 29th, but 28th, this is when we have the lunar eclipse and it's in opposition.
Mm-hmm.
The Mars and Mercury.
It's opposite. Yeah, the lunar eclipse is opposite Mercury and Mars in the void space. Yeah. And that's interesting. Void spaces are always interesting to me, especially when aspects like that happen. It's like, ooh, that's a slightly different overtone of energy.
Definitely.
Right. And such a big reset that happens through those void spaces, because it's like kind of like less structure in our consciousness, like the light codes going through a particular constellation. So it gives kind of like almost like this opening into an opportunity to shift.
Yeah.
Do we want to
kind
talk
of a
about
cleanse your palette area of, you're cleansing, you're shifting from Virgo. Let's close out those cycles. Yeah, it is interesting. I like the association with the light codes. That's a really great visual. Like, yeah, I can see that in my head.
And especially as we go from Virgo to Libra, Virgo can kind of go to the extremes when it comes to the perfectionism, or, the way things quote unquote have to be done, or the quote unquote right way. And then Libra season gives us a little bit of time to sort of readjust. Is this actually sustainable? How can I integrate this new habit in a way where it's less of a chore and actually more of a habit?
Mercury and Libra too, like it feels a little bit like a reprieve from the intensity of Mercury being in Virgo, and before it goes also then into Scorpio, which is also very intense. It's like a little lighter, a little more social, a little more like, let's have a dinner party and have easy kind of small talk that's very pleasant. It's very like entertaining. So it definitely has like, it's a little moment of a breath between like Mercury lessons of Virgo and Mercury lessons of Scorpio.
Yes, I totally agree. I would say Mercury in Libra is very pleasant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both
you get to try on all your new upgrades with other people.
Yeah.
Mercury and Libra too would be like, oh, maybe I can talk about things differently, or just maybe you have conversations with a whole new crew of people. Right.
Yeah.
Because like you've shifted some things and you're like, I like going to the farmers market now. Let's go hang out with the farmers and have different conversations. So yeah, that can be a fun way to integrate the upgrades.
It's true. But during October, Mercury is in Virgo the whole time. Are there any
that's true.
Are there any of the alignments that we want to discuss?
I think we have to get into South Node. I think the South Node stuff around the 18th, the things going on with Arcturus around the 18th, 19th, that is definitely a power day this month, because the sun's also gonna be there around the same time. Like it's all conjunct. So
yeah, that's a big day.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big day. Like you might literally consciously connect with some of those soul lineages for people who
Mhm.
do have that kind of stuff going
Arcturian
on.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see some blue people, be not afraid.
Yep. You will know.
So then in terms of Mercury, in Virgo, I mean, you could almost just take the whole conversation we had about the sun and then just tilt it a little bit more towards Mercury. You know what I mean? Like, because it's following the same path, and it's just going to be a little bit more like heightened in our nervous systems, receiving messages, getting to our service, connecting with the mind body connection, things like that.
Definitely. Yeah, it amplifies all Virgo energy since Mercury's at home in Virgo.
Yeah.
So daily routines, organization, attention to detail, especially because Mercury rules communication. That is also really important. So, proofread, double check,
Take notes.
take notes.
Yeah, it really is
Pay
kind of a
attention.
technical reframing. Yeah, I do find Virgo to be great proofreaders,
Definitely.
stuff like that. So it can be like fact checking. Make sure you got your I's dotted, your T's crossed. If you haven't started taking notes, start now. Start during Virgo season.
Yeah.
And because that Virgo energy is amplified, it's like, yes, all of the great qualities of Virgo can be amplified, but also the shadow of Virgo can be amplified too, because it's all being amplified. So it's also can bring out extreme neuroses that are pickiness, sickliness, worry, getting lost in the detail, kind of that isolated superiority that can happen with Virgo, and even like kind of the self-sabotage that can happen with over-sacrifice.
Yeah.
So those are kind of some of the shadowy things that, even though, we would think, oh, it's in its home sign, this is all going to be great. And it is, but it also amplifies all of it.
Yeah, if you've got
So-
stuff out of alignment that needs to be addressed, it will
It'll bring it up.
definitely
Yeah.
feel that too. Luckily, Mercury is not aligning with Vendomeatrix this month. It's already done that. So moving on. We don't have to go into the downward spiral of that.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I notice about Virgo energy is like you feel like you have to do everything on your own because like other people can't do it the right way. So that can get into the energy of like overworking yourself or, over volunteering, or this notion of like, well, I better do it because no one else can, or I'm the only one who does anything around here. I do this place wouldn't survive without me, sort of thing. So it's those types of programs that really need to be released with Mercury moving through Virgo, because a lot of it has to, it influences our health and our mental health.
Yeah.
These belief systems.
Yeah, that deprecating self-talk. Bye.
Yeah.
Start doing Mercury and Virgo's like do mirror work. Get in the mirror and just do those affirmations. I'm good enough, and doggone it, people like me.
I would say the thing I love about
Exactly.
Mercury Virgo is the way that they can just collect vast amounts of information with their like tremendous intelligence.
Yeah.
And then with this extreme discernment, digest and metabolize,
Organize it.
Yes.
and assimilate that data into its purest form. Like nobody does that like a Virgo. That's just like the of Mercury Virgos.
Totally.
Very good at those technical wordsmithing things and organizing. Yes.
And even numbers too. It's like a Virgo Mercury can see a spreadsheet of 50 Excel sheets and leaflets and figure out, okay, this number doesn't make sense and this is why. It's like their ability for data analysis is absolutely incredible. And I always say that Virgo Mercury is really great at system management and system analysis. And it's because they get all the working parts. They can see the bigger picture, but they can see deep in the details about why things on a larger level aren't quote unquote working properly.
Yep. Definite technicians. And recoders, people who at a soul level. Like they're just good at defragging stuff,
Mm-hmm.
making sense of things. Yep. I think it gets really interesting in natal charts when Mercury shows up in like 10th, 11th, and 12th houses, because that's sort of transpersonal, and it's like, yeah, or Mercury Virgo stuff, Virgo in 10th, 11th, or 12th houses.
Mhm.
I guess is what I mean. You can tell I'm starting to get tired. And yeah, because they're doing this bigger collective level defragging, organizing, strategizing process that is bigger than them. So it can be a really interesting in a natal chart. But as a transit, like, yeah, we'll definitely go through a phase where we all do that. Like, for instance, I was compelled to clean up the thing, like in Instagram where you save all your saved posts, and like half of them had capitalized first letters, half of them were just all lower. I was like, I can't stand it. I went through every one of them and made them all
Good for
capital
you.
verse. I know it can be that kind of stuff where you're just like, it's just, I just got to make this right. It's just got to get organized. It's got to look better. So it can have funny little small scale playouts too. I think it's funny. But yeah, let's see what else is going on in October.
Do we want to move to Venus or any more Mercury?
Well, we did talk about Mars on the 29th. I think that was included with the lunar eclipse.
Yes.
Kind of get that vibe. I think we do need to talk about it being conjunct supergalactic center. Well, we can just touch on supergalactic center, Aldebaran, and Draco, because those are kind of, it's like 1 degree, and then the very next degree is Aldebaran kind of thing. Or actually, I think it's 2 degrees, but, and then it goes through, aligns through Corvus on the 12th. So, I mean, seriously, some people might have some interesting clairvoyant downloads as it transits through Algorab or through Corvus constellation, aligns with Algorab and Corvus. And in the supergalactic center alignment, I mean, golly, I was like, just
that would be
up.
October 5th.
Yeah, 5th and 6th, because I feel like the supergalactic center is blended a lot with that Aldebaran and Draco, and it's like quantum dragon realms, like beyond the universe type energy, right? Multiverse level energy, and like just streaming straight into your third eye.
It's like being able to see through the void with X-ray vision.
Yeah, I think there'll be some big downloads that day for people who operate at that frequency, who can, you know, like their radar or their antenna is tuned to those frequencies. They are high enough up in their chakra pillar that they can grab those downloads. That would be a really big day, the 5th, the 6th, sailing into the 5th, maybe on the 4th, to really connect in and just ask your higher self, is there any codes to download? Because that is like high vibey stuff wants to come in. Especially Mercury, it wants to conduit in, right? It's like, the universe called, you have an upgrade. Do you accept? So pick up the phone. Yeah, pick up the phone on that day, because important message. We talked about Spica in Arcturus. That was a sun. Was it sun? Oh, it was up there. The South Node thing on the 18th. And then I don't talk a lot about Mia Placidus, but it's been showing up as a star in people's birth charts that carries a lot of significance, like when they have alignments with it in Carina constellation. And so Mercury aligns with that on October 23rd. And Carina is the big Viking boat.
Okay, yeah, that like popped up when I lost my reference point at some point in this episode. Yeah.
See how big that
like
star is? It's a very large magnitude star. So I've started using it in my readings. Yeah, that and Canopus. Canopus is another big one in Mia Placidus. So I haven't fully sussed out, the full scope of the energy that comes through that star, but it's powerful. The people I've done readings for that have alignments with it, it's like movers and shakers. And I do feel like it is connected through some of those Viking or Scandinavian lineages as a bloodline thing. So
I can see that.
yeah. Interesting placement. Does the sun cross that this month? Let me go back and see.
It's also interesting because Placidus is like a timekeeping mechanism, so there might be something with timekeepers. But there's also this
Great
flying
point.
fish there, which is kind of interesting. It's like he's going right for it. So there's like water, air, energy together. Very interesting. I've not looked at this part of the sky that much.
Neither have I. This constellation is
Yeah.
one that I've not dived into yet either.
There's not a lot on it.
Well, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
We'll do the deep dive in and bring you all the juicy pearls of wisdom.
Yeah. I think the sun aligns with it. I have on here the sun aligns with Mia Placidus on the 23rd. I'm not sure is that true? Let me go back and look at my chart.
It looks like,
It might.
well, here's the 23rd. You can kind of see it. It might be a little bit later.
Go back to my transit chart and see if I can find it.
It looks more a little bit into November.
Yeah, I was like, is that a typo? Because I don't see how that could be true. I know the Mercury one's right. There's no way the sun could be
Yeah,
right.
it's like it's more, yeah, it's definitely more into November, I would say. Well, clearly it wanted to be highlighted no matter what.
Yeah.
It wanted to come through in the notes. So very interesting.
Let's see what
Yeah, it's introducing itself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to me.
Yeah, if any of you listeners have any alignments with Mia Placidus, or really, I guess, anything in this area, and any information that you can share would be absolutely wonderful. You can drop us a message, shoot us a DM.
No, I think that is correct. It's the sun is at Mia Placidus on the 25th,
On the
and
25th.
Mercury is there on the 23rd.
Oh, Mercury there on the 23rd.
Just because
Okay,
Sun
yeah, that's
Mercury
right.
has
Okay,
a
I was looking at the
conjunction.
sun. Sorry.
Yeah, sun is conjuncted on the 25th, Mercury on the 23rd, and Sun Mercury has a
Mercury's right here.
conjunction on the Sun Mercury's conjunct on, where did I put it?
Yeah, because the eclipse
October
would be
18th,
here.
19th and 20th, yeah. For like 2 days, the sun and Mercury are sailing together,
Mm-hmm.
conjunct, and then they start to diverge. So Mercury crosses Mia Placidus first, and then the sun follows a couple days after. Yeah, that'll be a big day too. Sun conjunct Mercury.
Yeah.
Right around the South Node, right around Arcturus. Like so much Arcturus. So much.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Mercury. Are we done with Mercury? I think we're done with
I think
Mercury,
so.
aren't we? Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's go to Venus. So
Venus
in
and
a whole
Leo.
other part of the sky, we've kind of been talking about the same kind of two areas pretty much. But now we have Venus, which we kind of talked about in our September transits because we had the Venus retrograde or Venus going direct and so on.
Venus is cruising up to finalizing her post-retrograde shadow, moving right back into that Regulus alignment. Woohoo!
Right there. And this is the day, I think it's the 8th or the 9th, where Venus ends its post-retrograde shadow.
Which is such a really
Yeah.
beautiful, I mean, what a beautiful journey she just made. And
Yeah.
to really like come back to Alphard, which is the heart of the cosmic serpent, and to finish that whole thing and then to like fully align with the heart of the lion. There's just something that feels like so poetic about that.
Mhm.
Especially because the pre-retrograde shadow began, or I'm sorry, the retrograde motion started at Regulus. So
It was
like,
it was right between, it had just passed Alfhard and it was nestled right between Regulus and Alfhard, not perfectly conjunct with Regulus. So I feel like the really important thing here is like when Venus actually crosses Regulus, it's like she's crossing this finish line, all this solar feminine coding, all this sovereignty coding for the feminine archetype. Ooh, it's going to be big, 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 big. I can just see this golden ribbon, and like Venus is just running across that golden ribbon and pow, like she just won a marathon.
Or like comes into Regulus and like receives her crown
Yes.
and, you know, just fully steps into her royalty, like completely remembers her divine feminine coding, like, and an integration with the masculine, because this is Leo. So this feels really powerful for union codes as well.
Yeah, it's big with the solar feminine templates, the masculine feminine unified energy for sure. Love that. The challenging thing this month is Venus is going to be conjunct Black Moon Lilith 3 times, because true Black Moon Lilith is very erratic. It does a crazy zigzag through the chart. So it's
Sounds like
October
her.
6th, 16th, and 30th. Venus will be conjunct Black Moon Lilith.
16th and the 16th is that power Mecca day over here.
So you know
right
we're going to be
before
working
the-
on some
yeah.
feminine stuff.
So interesting, you know, like after this huge journey that Venus just made, it's like there's not even really a rest. Now we're going to take it even deeper and start working with that wild, raw feminine energy that could not be tamed, that has been demonized, that like never surrendered to like the falsehood. So this is like kind of a wild energy in a sense.
It feels like
lot
3
to
calibration
reintegrate.
moments. Like, okay, so you upgraded, you're standing stronger in your feminine energy. Can you hold the vibe now? And it's like we get 3 pops of like, can you hold that vibe?
Okay, we'll try again. Because it was hard the first time.
Or like keep doing it.
Keep
holding.
All right. Okay, now a third time, we're going to really polish that stone. Till it shines.
Venus and asteroid Juno do start to separate at the beginning of the month. So some of those really big hierogamic union codes from last month, from September, finish integrating with Venus dancing and traveling all month with Juno. And then it's like, it really is like Black Moon Lilith is coming to put it to the test.
Yeah, do those deepest layers. Like, can you pull that feeling of royalty all the way into your most wild, raw, demonized, forgotten about parts?
Yeah, I feel like that 16th, the transit on the 16th will probably be the spiciest, because it'll also be aligned with Thuban and Draco. So that one's going to be it's really going to test you.
Super.
Yeah, then the Black Moon Lilith conjunction, Venus conjunct Black Moon Lilith on the 30th will be really close to Denibola in Leo's tail, aligned with it on the 31st. So that's where Mercury went retrograde, when he was retrograde. So grabbing that line by the tail again. Just doing it. Venus is doing it this time instead of Mercury.
She's like, all right, we're gonna what do we have to complete right now to get to the next part? Because then she's gonna have her own visit through Virgo, which is quite something for Venus.
Yep. That'll be interesting.
But we'll get to that on the next
in November
time we transit.
Yep. To be continued. The Venus saga. Yep. Venus Diaries. she's had a wild ride this year. Like,
she has.
Seriously, it's going to be interesting. Her going through Virgo for sure. Landing all those recodes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good. All right. Anything else to add with Venus? I don't think so. Okay, so overtone, sovereignty templates, divine feminine sovereignty templates. Get it on. That's October in a nutshell for Venus.
There's also a lot about like family versus relatives. There's a lot of like blood relative stuff that comes up in terms of accessing the vibration of love.
Oh, that'll be an interesting play out. I
Mhm.
see what you're saying there, because Venus relational.
Yeah, like love. Well, vibration of love, and Leo being the sign that rules blood, and also like who you surround yourself with, like the pack of lions. So the pride that you surround yourself with.
Yeah. And paternal lineage.
Yeah, I was gonna say especially paternal lineage for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very
I'll think on
interesting.
that one.
Very, very interesting.
All right. We can touch on Mars. I think we've
Mars.
talked a lot about Mars already. There might
Mhm.
not be that much more to add in his little category. Let's
Yeah,
see,
just,
South Node, conjunct South Node on October 5th. I know we talked about that.
Mhm.
Conjunct Mercury, we talked about that
Mhm.
on October 29th.
I feel like Mars has been kind of quiet because Mars has just been kind of
Mhm.
hanging out on his own. And I feel like he's just been kind of quietly, like we all
Yeah.
just feel like being on social media less. We're all just doing the things that we naturally feel inclined to do to integrate more, but without a lot of like, even like talk or fanfare about it. We're just doing it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's really how Mars has been showing up this time around through Virgo.
I
feel
totally agree
that.
with that. Yeah.
Nope, just quietly doing his thing, getting shit
Mhm.
done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Mars will be aligned with fixed star Mia Placidus. Here she is again in Carina constellation on October 15th. I'm
And
feeling
conjunct
this
Moon.
15th, 16th stuff
Mhm.
intensely.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And 18th, that whole
18th.
window.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
whole window
Yeah.
as things are transiting Arcturus. There's a lot going on. Super interesting to see how that's gonna
Mhm.
filter in
You
with
know,
Mars.
If you can go on a little trip before the cold really comes, that would be a really great time to just unplug, go look at the stars, be with
That's
yourself, be with the earth.
so hilarious that you say that, because like 2 weeks ago, before I'd even looked at any of these transits, my friend in North Carolina and I were like, okay, I'm going to plan a trip over and we're going to do some stuff. We're going to do some camping. We're going to do like get some people together, do some work, that kind of stuff. Like, what I'm talking about, work,
Mhm.
grid work, that kind of stuff. And literally it's like, well, I could go this week or I could go this week. And she's like, well, can't do this week. Okay, we'll go this week. And it's the week of the solar eclipse. And had
Mhm.
no idea until like a couple days later. I'm like, girl, you are just not gonna believe how that lined up. I'm like, yeah, you are. You're gonna believe it. So
Yep.
it's funny that you say that, because I'm literally going on a trip. I plan on going to the lake, doing a little kayaking. I'm like, there's my Mia Placidus. I'm gonna be out on the water in a little kayak.
Oh yeah, there you
That's so
go.
funny.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Out crunching in some leaves in the mountains. So yeah, keep an eye on that window around, the solar eclipse, the 15th, when Mars is aligned with Mia. See how it plays, see how that Mia Plastis comes in
Mhm.
for you, because I think it's an interesting energy. I'd like to
Yeah.
know more about it. I need more field ops to let me know
Yeah.
how they experience it.
Mhm.
Right. Because ultimately, as we all know, you can read, and it's important to study and read as much about as astrology as you can. But truly, you learn the most when you see it in action, and you see it actually happening around you, and like with yourself and the people that you love. Like that's when it comes to life.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Experiential wisdom.
Yes.
Do we feel pretty settled with Mars?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I
think
think
so.
we've
It
talked
ends
about
the month
Mars.
in the void space, so
Yeah,
we'll
in
have to
the
get
Virgo Libra void. Yeah,
yes. And
cruising
then
towards
let's
Libra.
talk more about that next one. Mhm.
Yep. All right, let's move on to
And
Jupiter. Oh, do you have something else you want to throw in the hat?
oh no, I was just gonna say we have talked about these outer planets
Mhm.
a few times now, and so we might be able to cruise through these pretty easily.
Yeah, these guys
Yeah.
aren't doing a whole
I
lot.
think
And we've talked about that's the most interesting slow mover is the South Node, and we've kind of talked about that, but we can
Mhm.
just quickly
yeah.
recap these guys. Jupiter
Jupiter's still in the void.
still in
mo-
retrograde.
Retrograding, moving in this direction. And that's it.
Yeah, heading
Retrograde
back
until-
towards Cetus energy still. I think
Mhm.
he's going to get to like the cusp where it's kind of like exactly half and half Cetus and Aries. Well, he's kind of there. He's kind of
Yeah, this
chugging
is
more
at the end of
towards
the month.
Cetus. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's the
Yeah.
end of the month.
So if we
He's cruising into deeper Cetus waters. I guess that's what I'm
at the
trying to
first.
say with his retrograde.
Yeah, we'll see. He's just
Yeah.
moving.
And he's
yeah.
going to continue to do so through the end of December. So
Mhm.
Going
he's just
back
intensely helping us expand into those deeper galactic knowingnesses of ourself.
Mm.
Kind of an inward dive to go get that stuff. So it does feel very introspective here.
Mm.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, that was pretty much what I was feeling too. Like, oh, he's going back into that liminal space to like go pick up some more galactic memories to process, like bring back the golden nuggets and the wisdom of to bring back forward again. Will Jupiter go all the way back to Shadar?
I think so. I can check really quick. Let's see.
Which one? Sure.
Let's see.
How do you
Find
spell
where he is in my
Shadar?
chart. I can pull it up on this and just give you a yes or a no. Let's go
There's a couple of
next.
spellings for it that I've seen. I've seen like the SCHEDAR, and I've seen SHEDIR.
Yeah, I've seen those both of
Ah,
those
okay.
too. What am I at? December 18th. I don't think so.
Not quite.
Let's hang on. Let me see what I'm looking at. Amal, Mira. No, won't make it all the way there.
All right.
Hang on. Where is it? Wait, is that? Yes. I was looking at the stars on my fixed star list are so bunched up. It's hard to tell what they're pointing at sometimes. But yeah, I think, let's see when he crosses. I think maybe he already crossed Shadar. Ugh, why does this keep moving like that?
Is it this?
It's at the
Ooh,
top of the
that's
screen.
weird.
In Cassiopeia?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the breast or heart of Cassiopeia.
Ooh, this software is weird. Sometimes there's weird glitches in the software. Like it's jumping too far. Like one says it's past it and one says it's not.
To me, it looks like it's already
Cassiopeia.
past it. But I don't have the ecliptic, so.
Oh yeah, I would say that it passes Shadar.
Let's see. I've
I
got
would
my
say it
eyes
already
on it
did.
now. It looks like November 20th. Is that right? Did I put it on there? No, I said no significant alignments. Huh. I'll have to double check that one because sometimes this stuff gets glitchy. That's weird. Let me check this other chart.
Well, while you're looking up that, we can talk a little bit more about Chiron. Continuing its retrograde here in Pisces until December 26th. So we'll see
Let me get the list back in front of me.
on the first. So we can see Chiron continuing its retrograde motion, appearing to go quote unquote backwards in this direction.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah.
November 21st. Oh, it's November. It'll align with Chiron in November.
Okay.
That's why it's not on the list, because the list is for October. I was really confused for a minute. Okay. Chiron, moving on.
So yeah,
So do we want to go back through these outer planets, being that it's been about 2.5 hours, or do we want to just refer people to previous episodes?
I think in 5 minutes we can literally just
Okay.
I think yeah, just showing it. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like boom, there's Chiron retrograding.
yeah.
Are you good to move on to Saturn?
Chiron's doing the same thing, no significant fixed star alignments. He's between Saturata and Andromeda and Alpheratz and Pegasus, retrograding towards Alpheratz. It's the same thing he was doing last month in September. He's still doing it. He's getting closer to Alpheratz, but still not aligned with it. Chiron will be in retrograde until Chiron will be in retrograde until the day after Christmas. So
Nice.
all of November as well, most of December.
Yep.
Yes, continue to do dream work.
Same with
And continue doing work around cleaning up where you are an escapist, and
Yeah.
how can you be more present?
Where you're feeling spiritually disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. As it gets closer to the Alpheratz alignment with Pegasus, it gets more about dealing with DNA stuff, like distortions in the DNA. So you might start feeling it in the body a little bit more as it gets into November and December. But you're also creating a bridge, an energetic genetic bridge as well. So reference the beginning conversation on DNA if you have questions about that.
yeah. Yep.
Anything else?
Not
Good
right
on
now.
Chiron?
Yep.
Saturn's still in retrograde. Still hanging out in Aquarius.
And it's going to be moving forward only just in the beginning of November. So whatever Saturn hasn't done yet, we can expect that it will in this last bit of time that the retrograde will be happening for.
Yep.
So
squeeze in all that karmic work.
let it happen.
I've got that it is in retrograde until about November 4th.
Yeah.
Early November, it'll start to go station direct. So.
And we talked about some of the more societal overtones of Saturn retrograding in Aquarius, like government misuse of technology, areas to keep an eye on are AI and aliens. And since we have previously said that, I'm sure everyone's aware of, the Mexican thing that has been going on. And so just, keep a perceiving eye out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't get blinded by the false flashing lights that are flashing.
Yeah.
They're distracting.
Keep doing that karma cleanup, because as you integrate your Saturn archetype within yourself, like your body technology turns on. That's the true technology. It's not all the stuff that they're trying to fearmonger about right now that's coming back for round 2 with mutations. It's about your inner tech. So just keep focusing on karma clearing and being diligent. You know, Saturn's really about diligence and step-by-step approach, and just keep making moves and doing your work. So
Mhm. And DNA upgrades are things that you do for yourself. No one can give you a DNA upgrade.
that's right. Ain't
Yeah.
no injection that's gonna make you
Definitely not.
stronger, better, longer, faster, whatever.
Yeah.
People can help open a door, but you're the one that has to walk through it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep. That's turning the lead into, I wouldn't say Aquarius is gold, but it's like almost turning the lead into ether
Mm-hmm.
in that placement. Like you have that opportunity to just go straight up your chakra pillar into the ethers. So take the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. I like Saturn there. I feel like quantum leaps abound if you can dig in and do the stuff there.
Oh, big time quantum leaps, because when we see through the distorted lens of Saturn and Aquarius is this like AI tech, alien stories and things like this. What that's really the cover up for is that we are the technology.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like we are the aliens.
We're the star beings.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
the
we
star
are.
beings.
Yeah, look
We're the
around.
libraries. Yeah.
We have the technology.
Yes.
So that's the real
It's an inside job.
Mhm.
yeah
Yeah. We are
way
the
this energy
technology.
moves.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other species that protect us because of the technology that we hold.
Yeah. Star friends, inner Earth friends,
Arcturians, thanks.
Arcturian friends.
Yep, they're definitely, highlighted this month.
Andromedan
Or next
friends.
month, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andromedan too.
Andromedan. Yeah, Andromedans are so high vibey. That's how they help. Is like they just come in with big old high vibes. And it does help to have that opposition to help protect with the Arcturians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good team.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Feel good on Saturn?
Yeah.
I do.
All right, let's move to the outer planet.
To Uranus.
Uranus. Uranus
Yeah.
is still in the void.
Mm-hmm. Still aligned with.
It is actually
technically
just
the
cruising
ecliptic is
out of
like there.
Taurus officially. I feel like this is the month that he moves back out of Taurus and back into the Cetus or the Aries Cetus void, because it's more Aries energy. He's cruising underneath the back feet of the ram. I don't think he's going to get too far.
Doesn't move much. Yeah.
No, his retrograde periods are not that big of a span of distance because he's kind of far out there. So
yeah, slow mover.
He will retrograde until 2024.
Yeah, like end of January. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not really making any significant planetary conjunctions because all the fast movers are kind of on the other side of the chart. And he's not moving fast enough to have any fixed star alignments of any significance this in October either. So he's just cruising.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good to go to Neptune.
Good to go. Remember who you are. That's
Yeah.
the vibe. Remember who you are from the inside out. Make that shift. Neptune in retrograde also. And
hanging out between
Pisces.
the
I'll be
wings of the
excited for when
Pegasus.
I'll be excited for when he goes direct, because I think that's going to be interesting. He's not got any
That's going to
planetary.
be
It's
big
funny, my
time
stomach
dream
just
magic.
went woo.
I know. I'll be sleeping
Wow.
16 hours a day when he goes direct. Be like, see you in dreamland. Bye.
Yeah.
Go astral travel. Toodaloo. So he doesn't have any significant planetary conjunctions and still no significant fixed star alignments. He is getting pretty close in October to making an alignment with fixed star Marcab and Pegasus, like Georgia was saying earlier, under the wing of Pegasus up there. So you can see, Marcab is over to the right a little bit. Yeah, you can see Marcab. So, and there's Sheet up there. So he's kind of in between alignments between Sheet and Marcab. So lots of DNA angelic template things. Like I feel like the Pegasus is kind of a higher octave of Virgo in an interesting way. Because Pegasus has 4 feet on the ground and wings. Virgo has 2 feet on the ground and wings. Pegasus has 4.
That's an
So
interesting connection there.
it's like it's a quantum reference, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
Bipedal versus a quadruped is like quantum angelic templates. Very galactic, very interesting star group. So Neptune hanging out in those kinds of alignments is like big consciousness upgrades. He likes being in Neptune, likes being in Pisces.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Likes this area.
And he's just starting his journey there pretty much.
Yeah. He's gonna be there for a while.
He's gonna be there, yeah, until like 2040 something.
It's not wild to think like, oh, he's gonna be there till the 40s.
Yeah, right.
Holy
Exactly.
moly.
Uh-huh.
Crazy. And he will be in retrograde until about December 6th. He'll either, I don't know if that's a station date or a direct date, but early December. So all of November, he will still be retrograde. So we'll be saying the same thing, except he will probably have an alignment with Marcab in November, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think for our next, for like November transits, for the outer planets, you can pop up your software to show
Yeah, that would
the
be
alignments. I think it's a lot easier because here, because it doesn't have the ecliptic, it's
I mean,
kinda
I can
hard
do it
to-
right now if you want. I've got it up. I just have to screen share it.
I mean, you could, but I mean, we only have one more
Yeah, that's true. We'll do
to
it next
go
month.
through. Yeah,
We'll
because
do
I
that
think,
for the outer planets and the nodes, because the nodes
yeah,
don't show up on the software.
yeah, they don't show up on here either.
Good plan. Okay, you
Ready
feel
to go
ready
to
to move
Pluto?
on to Pluto?
I think so.
Pluto, ditto.
Pluto.
It's funny, this past week, at an event, this guy had his cats. He was he thought he was a Scorpio. He was tropical Scorpio. He had 2 cats, one named Pluto and one named Lilith. I'm like, whoa, boy.
Oh my goodness.
So I got visited by Pluto and Lilith this week.
I love
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Those are the jokes.
Yep.
Those are the jokes.
Definitely lots of pussy power there. Pussy cat
Woohoo.
power, I should say. Pussy cat.
She said, meow.
So our friend Pluto will be going direct in October.
Yes.
We have
Yay.
some of that
Big
deep inner
news.
intensity that will be alleviating. That's nice.
Yes.
Station direct on October 9th and direct on the 11th.
So kind of that deep, possibly profound dark nights of the soul that people have been going through will start to shift into that more of that post transformation space that the rebirth occurs in rather than the death.
Mhm.
Right. I really feel like on the other side of Pluto stuff is like deep ancient lineages, deep memories, deep galactic things, because Pluto kind of takes you to those depths.
Oh yeah. There's so much power in Pluto,
Yeah.
but it's like you really have to do
You
the
gotta-
work and earn it.
You gotta get in there.
Yeah.
You gotta face the darkness and the depths and the fear and the ancestors and the past lives.
Mhm.
It's deep.
Because
So
Pluto
if
is like power, but it's also like
Yeah,
very much about reconciling abuse of power.
absolutely.
And that's where those
Mhm.
karmic ties come in.
It's transformative. Yeah. He's like, this don't need to run anymore. And it's dug in there like a tick. And you have got to take care of this in this lifetime. So
Yeah.
that's in a natal chart. But where he's transiting is kind of like an overtone. Like I can always see the echo of like Pluto's here. Okay. This flavor of Pluto in the Capricorn Sagittarius void is nuancing where my Pluto is in my, it's bringing up that sort of I don't know, energetic of my Pluto stuff.
Mhm.
So, look at where Pluto's at in the transits, look at where your Pluto is, see if Pluto is aspecting your Pluto, because then it's even more powerful.
Yeah.
See what he's bringing up for you. He's got alignments through Altair, Aquila constellation, the Eagle. He's between Altair and Deneb Okab, which Deneb Okab is like the heart of the Eagle. And he's moving towards that star. So you can see how bright Altair is, and I think maybe it's that one that says Terra's that one. Maybe that's the one. I would have to look at my Sky app to see, because sometimes different apps have different names. It probably has a different name in different software. See if it's the one in the middle of his chest, like in the midsection, that little fainter one.
This
That
one?
one, yeah. See if that's the one. Yeah, it's one of those that just has
Which star are you looking
designation.
for?
The Deneb Okab.
Oh no, it's up here. I already
Oh,
found it
okay.
out right here.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Oi, oi, oi. You think it was still Mercury retrograde?
I think
Post shadow.
yeah, we're in the post shadow still.
Yeah,
So
it's still waning. I'm still feeling it.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's between Altair and heading for Deneb. Okay.
So this is like the eagle that's used on our money. This is the eagle that's been kind of like used, like misrepresented by the fallen masculine structures. So, I mean, we're really about to go through a huge collective shift in power structures and societal dynamics, and it's going to be big, y'all.
yeah,
Janine says,
especially with
y'all.
Pluto's return in
Mhm.
2024, which is still in this void space, but closer to Capricornus. Like the exact date is December 27th, 2024. So that's going to be big because, yeah, I didn't even realize it's literally in alignment with all of these, like all the eagle stars. So, yeah, it's going to be big. Again, if you can get out in the northern hemisphere, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of us are here to, like, as that cymatic vibrations, like somebody's got to be here to hold the vibe, sis.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, not everyone's meant to leave.
The
But if you feel
transformation
called-
comes from the inside out. We're not just gonna, I mean,
That's
if
true.
everybody left, then that would probably solve the problem. But
Yeah, that would. But I guess only certain people
everybody
actually
would have
need to leave.
That's right. Yeah, there's certain people that need to leave. All right, it's the
Yeah.
people who are doing
Causing the
shenanigans.
problems, yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Mhm.
And we'll just, one choice at a time, we make that shift from the inside out. Choose with your money, give it to the farmer,
Yeah.
not that big ag, those kinds of things.
Exactly.
That's where their power comes from.
Yep.
Is conglomeration of things. So just unconglomerate yourself, just get local, do things
Exactly.
within your own power to do. And I really feel like the hijack, like the metaphysical hijack of the eagle and the stars through Aquila are really like astral travel-y, higher dimensional, being able to transit those higher realms consciously. And so using the eagle as a symbol is kind of a hijack of that. Like, we run the astrals, and we just got to be like, no, you don't.
Like, nope,
Yeah,
that's ours.
you definitely
Nope,
do
that's
not.
mine.
And eagle is
yeah.
also the 6th of the 7 emanations of Scorpius, or Scorpio.
Yeah,
so
that's super
it's one of the higher vibrational aspects of Scorpio, and Pluto being the ruling planet of Scorpio, it's definitely going to trigger a lot of eagle eyes, seeing things from a higher perspective, being able to sniff out that BS, investigative, detective type work.
If you've got stuff in your energy at the Pluto level, like remote viewing can be an issue. Like, make a declarative statement that is not allowed in my energy, so it is on record. literally. Sometimes you have to do that just to be like, remote viewing, disallowed, get out.
Yeah.
You may have to do a bunch of stuff to actually disconnect the cording that's allowing it. Because again, it's coming from a Pluto level. It is deeply in there. And you got to figure out where it's coming from. But that is one of the things that can come through this alignment that is up for being resolved.
Yep. So maybe just take a moment now, as a listener, and just declare no one is allowed to remote view me on any
My
level, any
energy,
dimension, any timeline.
Yes, that's important. Timelines, parallels, dimensions. Yes. Yes.
I revoke access. No one has access.
Yes. My energy is sovereign. Shields on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Okay, I feel solid on that. Do you guys have anything
I
else you want to
feel,
throw in
yeah.
the mix?
No.
Okay.
Alright. We I didn't update on this list. I did not update the nodes. I didn't update the North Node, I don't think.
I think we talked about North Node and South Node enough since they were
I think we
so
did too.
involved with the eclipses. So
Yeah, I think South Node is correct, but North Node, I just didn't even touch it. So that Andromeda Galaxy thing is not really, that's not the thing. That was a couple months ago. So yeah, I feel like if there's any questions on South Node stuff or North Node stuff or Eclipse stuff, people can just ask questions or put a question in the comments. I think we covered it.
mhm.
And I feel like that the power day in October is definitely when all that stuff is conjunct around Arcturus. What is that, like the 18th, 19th, 17th, 18th, 19th? Power
16,
portal.
17, 18.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really a run of
Like
days, isn't
four-
it? Like
yeah,
16th through the
14.
19th.
There's something happening on the 14th too.
The
Oh
solar
yeah, the
eclipse.
solar eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
That little thing.
Something.
Yeah, that little thing.
Yep. So it's kind of on the incoming side coming into Arcturian alignment, but not quite aligned with it yet. So I think it'll get more potent. We'll have like the solar eclipse energy will be like, bong, okay, we're moving into that vibration. And then a few days later, it'll be like, pow, hello.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole week, I don't know if that the 14th is a weekend. So starting on, I think it's a Saturday or a Sunday. So running into the next week, about half of the week. I feel like it is a good 4 or 5 day window there. 4, 5, 6 day window. Could be intense leading up to it too. Like I feel like with solar eclipses, especially, like I start to feel the energy incoming at least 2 weeks ahead. I'm like, oh, here it comes. I'm already getting the incoming work. So you might feel it that far before the eclipse.
Yeah, especially if you have placements where or conjunct the eclipses are occurring. Yeah, you can usually like feel it way before.
Yeah, Arcturian starseed people are probably gonna be feeling this one coming in early. Yeah, for sure. Because you guys are gonna be making attunements and leveling up. So it's like Arcturian Appreciation Month in October.
It is, yeah.
Thank you, Arcturian friends.
Uh-huh.
Hug your Arcturian friend.
That's me.
Yes. All right. Do we feel pretty good on everything? I feel like that is a solid month coming up.
Yeah. We did the thing.
We did the thing. We made it.
And thank you for everyone who joined us live and everyone who listened to the replay. I am Sachi the Seer, previously Sachi the Scorpio. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube, still at Sachi the Scorpio. And my offerings are, I do tarot and Pokemon card readings where you can tap into any topic of your choice. I also do astrological chart hacking where I teach you how to work with specific areas of your chart and hack your way for whatever you're trying to accomplish. And I also offer one-on-one spiritual mentorship where we get on the phone, chit chat with each other. It can basically be whatever you need at that moment. And it can also involve some card readings and astrological chart hacking.
Nice. Nice. I'm Georgia. You can find me at Star Nectar Astrology on Instagram. My books are currently closed as I update my offerings. So to be continued on that.
Thank you, Georgia. And I am Janine. You can find me at Inner Sky Alchemy on Instagram. And I offer, my books are semi-open. If you know how to get a hold of me personally and ask me nice, I will do some astrology for you right now. I also offer dream alchemy sessions for all my dreamers out there, and biofield tuning sessions with tuning forks. Those are my favorites. I also do EFT and some other muscle testing based modalities, but those are kind of closed for now because I'm having issues with muscle testing as I work through some past life stuff. It's got my muscle testing all wackadoodle. So if you're willing to work with me through some of the muscle testing weirdness, I'm happy to work with you, but that's just kind of a caveat this time. So you can find all those offerings on my Instagram through my link tree. And together we are the True Sky Crew, and so are you guys. Yay to the True Sky Crew.
Yes, yeah.
Yay.
Yay, we celebrate all of us.
Yes, we do.
We're so tired, we're getting loopy, I think. I am anyway.
All right, well, until the next episode where we will be talking of all things Gemini. Shout out to all the Geminis out there, people who have Gemini placements.
Yeah.
So until next episode, keep looking keep your feet on the ground and your eyes in the skies.
Because the true sky don't lie.
The
That's
true sky
true.
don't lie.
The true sky
Yes.
don't
So see you
lie.
guys in a couple of